Chapter 1447. Kid, I'll let you know the power of Wind God Kick. Wang Chuang yelled as he quickly approached Lu Xiaohu. This time, Wang Chuang did not dare to underestimate his opponent. He used the sex qigong and let his body quickly wander around Lu Xiaohu. He was looking for Lu Xiaohu's flaws and then use his Wind God Kick to give Lu Xiaohu a heavy kick, directly crippling him. Let him say goodbye to the martial arts world. Who asked this kid to humiliate me? I will never forgive him. But Lu Xiaohu just stood there, unmoved. No matter how fast Wang Chuang was, it did not seem to affect him. Let him be strong, like a cool breeze brushing the hills. Let him be strong, like the bright moon illuminating the great river. Lu Xiaohu was like a Mount Tai, standing there, unmoving. But Wang Chuang became impatient. Lu Xiaohu looked like he was just standing there normally, but in fact, there was no flaw. If this went on, Wang Chuang's true energy would definitely be exhausted first. Kid, don't try to trick me. I'm coming. Wang Chuang thought that this kid was just pretending. With an expert like him wandering around, he did not believe that there was no flaw in his heart. It seemed that he could only take the initiative to attack first and force him to reveal a flaw. Wang Chuang instantly jumped on top of Lu Xiaohu's head and then kicked 9 times in the air. 9 leg shadows directly shrouded Lu Xiaohu in the shadows. But Lu Xiaohu still stood there firmly, ignoring the leg shadows in front of him, and directly raised his hand to slap again. Tiger roar. A ferocious black tiger leaped out and pounced on Wang Chuang's body. It pushed him to the ground and smashed a hole in the ground. Wang Chuang's body was also embedded in it, and he could not help but scream in pain. This was not a light hit. How could he expect that a kid's internal energy could be so strong that he could hit the martial god true body? It was really incredible. How could there be such an expert? How old was he? Did he start practicing martial arts when he was in his mother's womb? How did Li Fan train these 2 disciples? Wasn't it too incredible? But they did not know that at this moment, Li Fan was sitting in the corner with the posture of a 3-year-old child, looking at this scene with satisfaction. Who in the martial arts world would have thought that a child was the true master of the martial arts world? Unexpectedly, Xiaohu and Jiang Yi walked further and further on the path of martial arts. Although they were very different, they reached the same goal by different means, reaching a profound realm. Although the 2 of them were still young, they could already hold their own in the Jianghu. Although Li Fan wanted to leave this place, he did not intend to take his 2 disciples with him. Li Family Island would be very comfortable in the future and not suitable for training people. If the 2 of them were left on the Li Family Island, their future would be ruined. Is there anyone else who wants to experience the martial arts of my villa? The young master is waiting. Lu Xiaohu patted the dust off his body and said arrogantly. But at this moment, no one dared to look down on this youth. Although this kid was young, his skills were not ordinary. It's already at the peak of perfection. With a wave of his horsetail whisk, Wu Jizi had already seen through Lu Xiaohu's strength. Immeasurable heavenly sovereign. I didn't expect Li Fan's 2 disciples to be so outstanding. Even if they started cultivating in their mother's womb, they could not be this powerful. Wu Yangzi insisted, sect leader senior brother, the 2 of them might have already cultivated the true immortal technique. Otherwise, how could they be so powerful? The true immortal technique is indeed a good thing. We cannot let the 7 Knights Villa monopolize it. That's right. The true immortal technique should belong to us big guys. Everyone thought that the true immortal technique was so powerful, so their greed grew. Bullshit true immortal technique. Lu Xiaohu could not help but sneer, you guys can't beat the young master, so you gave the young master the title of immortal. Let me tell you, the people of my 7 Knights Villa never practice external martial arts. Not to mention immortal cultivation, even if it's spirit cultivation, we won't practice it. Who are you trying to fool? Long Bailey sneered. If there really is an immortal cultivation technique, would you not practice it? Gauging the heart of a gentleman with your own mean measure. Lu Xiaohu curled his lips. Do you really think everyone is the same as you? Ridiculous. So what if you cultivate? That nine-tailed divine fox is still an immortal, but he was still beaten badly by my master. My 7 Knights Villa's martial arts are the strongest. Truly arrogant. Let me have a taste of your martial arts. Long Bailey finally could not take it anymore. As the sect leader of Kong Tong's sect, he leaped 3 to 4 meters high, and in the blink of an eye, he arrived above Lu Xiaohu's head and chopped down with his hand. His palm carried a raging flame, as if his entire hand was burning. Roaring Flame Blade. This was their Kong Tong sect's unique technique. Wherever Long Bailey's palm passed through, the air distorted, showing how terrifying the heat of this chop was. Good move. Lu Xiaohu's hand was entwined with purple lightning, and he released a thunder dragon blast. The blue thunder blade flew out of his hand and collided with Long Bailey's roaring flame blade. Bang! The two powerful forces collided with each other and exploded with a loud bang, sending shockwaves far away. Lu Xiaohu took a step back, while Long Bailey's body flew out and fell heavily in the distance. His body was still emitting electric light, as if this move had affected him greatly. The effect of the Thunder Dragon heavenly punishment created by Li Fan was to temporarily cause the enemy to fall into a paralyzing effect. The strength of the effect was related to the strength of the target. Damn brat. Long Bailey got up again. He was a little angry, and he looked at Lu Xiaohu fiercely. Long Bailey finally came to his senses. He no longer tried to be opportunistic and tried to subdue Lu Xiaohu with one move. Instead, he relied on his rich experience and deep inner force to directly go forward and fight with Lu Xiaohu. It had to be said that Long Bailey's current strategy was quite correct. Although Lu Xiaohu's martial arts was very high, his actual combat experience was still lacking, and there was a gap between him and Long Bailey, who had fought his way up. Brat, now you know how powerful I am. Feeling that he had the upper hand, Long Bailey laughed proudly, completely forgetting that he was older than Lu Xiaohu by a few decades. However, Lu Xiaohu was not impatient. He was the type of person who became braver the more he fought. Brat, go to hell. Long Bailey found a flaw in Lu Xiaohu's defense, and suddenly, his palm went straight for the top of Lu Xiaohu's head. This palm was completely capable of breaking a steel and breaking stones. However, Lu Xiaohu laughed, and then his eyes emitted a ray of light. Long Bailey suddenly felt that the true chi on his palm had suddenly disappeared, and he was suddenly startled. What's going on? His palm was already on the top of Lu Xiaohu's head, but there was not the slightest bit of power. Did you not eat? Lu Xiaohu laughed, and both of his palms pushed forward, hitting Long Bailey's waist and abdomen. Chapter 1448. Everyone did not understand what happened. They only saw Long Bailey's palm hit Lu Xiaohu's head, but Lu Xiaohu acted as if nothing happened and even sent Long Bailey flying. Long Bailey crawled up after a long time. Squatting on the ground, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Xiaohu's palm strike contained the power of 9 dragons. Even if Long Bailey had a protective aura, under the effect of Yuan Qi, he was still injured quite badly. True immortal arts. It must be the true immortal arts. Long Bailey shouted at the top of his lungs, otherwise, how could my true chi disappear? This is the true immortal arts. Too powerful, a martial artist is not his match. Of course, how could a martial artist fight against an immortal? Everyone was discussing, all of them were shocked by Lu Xiaohu's strength. A youngster really should not have this kind of strength. Long Bailey was right, he definitely cultivated the true immortal arts. The reason why the people from the Seven Knights Villa were so strong was definitely related to the true immortal arts. Li Fan, if you have the guts, don't let your disciple stand out, come out and fight with us. Wu Yangzi waved his horsetail whisk and pointed at Li Fan and said, "What a joke." Lu Xiaohu stood in front of his master and said disdainfully, "You can't even get past me and you still want to fight with my master. What a joke. Your brain must be damaged." Wu Yangzi was speechless. Indeed, in the martial arts world, if one wanted to fight with the master, they must first get past the disciple. This was a rule since ancient times. However, the purpose of the existence of this rule was to protect those old martial artists. No matter how strong a martial artist's internal energy is, their body will eventually enter the stage of old age. However, in the martial arts world, with fame, there will inevitably be people who come to challenge them. Therefore, experts will accept disciples, 1 to pass down martial arts, and 2 to protect their own reputation and safety. However, Li Fan is an exception. He is so young, why would he need the protection of a disciple? However, rules are rules. No matter how dissatisfied Wu Yangzi was, he could not find any fault with it. Damn it, Wu Yangzi could not help but curse in his heart. How did I get caught by this brat? They had so many martial arts masters. Could it be that they couldn't even deal with the 7 chivalrous villas? The true immortal art was right in front of him. Could it be that he had to wave goodbye to it? No. He absolutely could not give up on the true immortal art. Thoughts raced through Wu Yangzi's mind as he tried to come up with a solution. I can't go on like this, I have to think of a way to get the true immortal art. Originally, he hoped that the martial artists present would take turns to fight and exhaust Li Fan's physical strength. Unexpectedly, his 2 disciples were also dragons among men. At such a young age, they were already able to fight against a grandmaster and even had the upper hand. Even if he wanted to defeat these 2 people, he would have to expend a lot of effort. Everyone, since there's a dispute, why don't you let the royal army mediate it? Jiang Feng grinned as he jumped onto the Heaven Ascension platform and cupped his hands. Jiang Feng, you don't call the shots here. Lu Xiaohu was furious when he saw Jiang Feng. He unleashed a tiger roar, and a black tiger pounced at Jiang Feng. Heh, you call this a tiger? Jiang Feng retaliated with a palm. Behind him, the aura of a black Azura tiger shot out, causing Li Fan, who was watching from afar, to feel a chill in his eyes. Tiger aura. He didn't expect that Jiang Feng had also cultivated to this level and had his own unique aura. That Azura tiger had the body of a tiger, but there was a ferocious Azura face on its chest. Bang! Lu Xiaohu's tiger was shattered, and his body flew out and fell to the side. Let your master come. Just the 2 of you are not my match. Jiang Feng opened his folding fan again and stood on the Heaven Ascension platform like a dashing young master, making people unable to take their eyes off him. It was a pity that such an outstanding man was the enemy of the martial arts world. Jiang Feng, I won't let you touch master. Jiang Yi held the extraordinary sword and stared coldly at her elder brother. Sister, your strength is indeed not bad, but you still need time to train. Jiang Feng reminded Jiang Yi. The current you is still not my match. Cut the crap, hand over your life. Jiang Yi stabbed his sword towards Jiang Feng's throat, not showing any mercy at all. Yet, he treated his elder brother like an enemy. Jiang Feng's eyes flashed with a trace of pain, but he no longer hesitated and used his fan to block. With a clang, he deflected Jiang Ye's sword. Compared to Li Fan's sword, your speed is still too far away. As Jiang Feng spoke, he struck out with his palm. The aura of an Azura tiger appeared behind him once again, shocking everyone present. Jiang Feng was really powerful. Was this the strength of a martial sage? Li Fan, your two disciples are still not up to par. Why don't you compete with me? Jiang Feng's gaze landed on Chun again. For the first time, Chun was nervous. Her husband once said that Jiang Feng was a very powerful and cunning enemy. Now that she was his enemy, Chun was indeed helpless. Especially after Jiang Feng defeated two of Chun's greatest supporters. Since you want to provoke my manner, you should first go through this empress. Imperial concubine Zhou smiled. She jumped onto the Heaven Ascension platform and stood in front of Jiang Feng, blocking his gaze. Jiang Feng seemed to have already expected that Imperial concubine Zhou would go on stage. He did not panic and instead slowly said, Imperial concubine Zhou, you are a senior in the martial arts world, but today you want to compete with me, a junior. Isn't this a bit inappropriate? Oh. Are you saying this because you think this empress is old? No, this junior doesn't mean that. This junior is saying that you are very powerful and this junior is not your match. Since you know you are not my match, then step down. Imperial concubine Zhou didn't follow Jiang Feng's words at all. This made Jiang Feng a bit speechless. She didn't play by the rules. It seemed that Imperial concubine Zhou was determined to take care of this matter today. If he wanted to touch Li Fan, he must first go through Imperial concubine Zhou. My good second brother, are you thinking in your heart that with your strength, you will first forcefully pass through Imperial consort Zhou's trial, and then come looking for me? Chun suddenly said, causing Jiang Feng to raise his eyebrows. Just now, I was only suspecting, but now that you've said it, I'm sure of it. Jiang Feng closed the folding fan in his hand and raised his voice by an octave. Li Fan, I'm afraid that something happened to your body and you can't use your power for the time being, right? Jiang Feng's words caused Chun-Er's complexion to slightly change. The surrounding heroes of Jianghu were also shocked. Li Fan's power had dissipated. Could it be that something went wrong while cultivating the true immortal technique? Chapter 1449. When Amei sect leader Yu Ruoying heard this, her intestines turned green with regret. If she knew that Li Fan's strength was damaged, why would she go through so much trouble to send her beloved disciple to the Seven Knights Villa? With the combined strength of the six great sects and Jiang Feng and Long Fangyu, wouldn't the Seven Knights Villa obediently submit? Miscalculation, this time it was a miscalculation. Yu Ruoying wanted to stomp her feet, but considering the eyes of the surrounding disciples, she could only endure. She could only think of a way to get her disciple back. You're right. Chun-Er suddenly rolled her eyes and put her hands behind her back. She might as well openly admit it. I suffered some internal injuries, so it's inconvenient for me to use my power. Everyone, from the beginning, our villa has already told you that I have suffered internal injuries, so I have been recuperating. It's you who didn't believe me. What? Do you think you can decide everything? It's true that the villa lord is injured, but this empress is still healthy. Imperial concubine Zhou was confident that she could protect Li Fan. She stretched out a finger and pointed at Jiang Feng, little friend. Didn't you practice the Shura sect's martial arts? Using 30 years of life to exchange for unlimited power, do you think you can deal with this empress? Jiang Feng was taken aback by his words. Imperial concubine Zhou even knew about his martial arts. Worthy of being the undying evil Buddha that shocked the martial world, she was indeed powerful. Several hundred years ago, the Shura sect was famous for a time. However, this sect's martial arts was too strange. All the disciples could not live past 30 years old. That year, the sect leader had some friendship with this empress, but later on, he made this empress unhappy, so I dealt with him. Ha! Jiang Feng smiled confidently. Imperial concubine Zhou, you are still a character, how can you say such a lie to me? You're just relying on your 50 years of immortality, right? Imperial concubine Zhou once again made Jiang Feng's heart fiercely jump. Perhaps this martial art is indeed useless to others. But don't forget, this empress is famous for this martial art. If you don't believe me, then come and try. Let's see if this empress can abolish your immortality. Imperial concubine Zhou smiled sweetly, but it made Jiang Feng's heart jump. He subconsciously took 2 steps back. He suddenly remembered that Imperial concubine Zhou was known as the immortal evil Buddha. Her famous martial art was the absorption of internal energy. Some people even said that Imperial concubine Zhou didn't absorb internal energy, but rather, it was a person's life force. If his life force was sucked dry, would he still be able to survive? Commander-in-Chief Jiang, go ahead. At this time, Wang Zhini, the head of the Qingqing sect, finally walked out and said gloomily. A few hundred years ago, our 6 great sects and Imperial concubine Zhou fought to the death. Later on, the seniors of our sect painstakingly invented a set of martial arts to restrain the undying evil Buddha's Vairocana Heart Sutra. Oh. Imperial concubine Zhou was surprised. She looked at Wang Zhini and asked, "Is what you said true?" Imperial concubine Zhou, do you really think that your Vairocana Heart Sutra is invincible? My Qingqing sect has been studying the method to break it for generations. Today is the time for our ancestors to verify the results. With that, Wang Zhini shouted at Jiang Feng, "Commander Jiang, if you believe me, then come here and let me seal 2 of your acupuncture points." Jiang Feng frowned. Getting someone to seal 2 of his acupoints was not a joke. If he made a mistake, he would be consigned to eternal damnation. If Commander Jiang doesn't believe me, then forget it. Wang Zhini didn't force him. He could see that Jiang Feng was also interested in the true immortal art. Listening to the previous conversation, this man didn't seem to live past 50 years old. In this case, the true immortal art was the only hope to save him. Sect leader Wang is also a famous figure for a long time. How could I not believe you? Jiang Feng thought about it. He was an Azura tiger. If he didn't even have this little bit of courage, how could he have a foothold in Jianghu? Besides, he was now immortal. So what if he let Wang Zhini torment him a few times? Commander Jiang is really courageous. Wang Zhini also flattered Jiang Feng without batting an eyelid. Now was the time to make use of Jiang Feng. There was no need to shed all pretense of cordiality with him. "Come, Commander Jiang, let me give you a hand." As Wang Zhini spoke, he swept his hand and shot out the true qi in his body, hitting 2 acupuncture points on Jiang Feng's body. This move made the martial artists nod their heads in amazement. As expected of the Qingqing sect leader who had been famous for a long time, his strength was indeed extraordinary. Just these 2 moves were enough to show his strength. 2 bangs sounded, but Jiang Feng didn't feel anything strange. Wang Zhini seemed to have sealed 2 of his hidden acupuncture points. For martial artists, the internal energy in their bodies was indeed channeled according to the meridians. However, there were a total of 409 acupuncture points in the human body, including 361 acupuncture points on 14 meridians and 48 extra acupuncture points outside the meridians. When they practiced martial arts, they mainly focused on the acupuncture points on the 14 main meridians. Opening these meridians and letting the true qi flow through them could cultivate internal energy. However, the 48 extra acupuncture points were an exception. These acupuncture points were not in the meridians, so even if they were opened, it would be meaningless. However, some people said that these extra acupuncture points seemed to be able to cultivate hidden meridians, but no one had discovered it yet. Jiang Feng didn't know that Li Fan had actually discovered one, which was the spirit-connecting meridian. However, other than himself, no one else knew about this. However, Jiang Feng noticed that Imperial Concubine Zhou's expression seemed to have changed slightly. It seems that I have indeed slept for too long. Imperial Concubine Zhou nodded. The 6 major sects of Jianghu also have their merits. Wang Zhini, you did well, very well. Thank you for your compliment. Wang Zhini's face was quite proud. As long as these 2 acupuncture points were sealed, Imperial Concubine Zhou's Vairocana Heart Sutra would lose its effect. Jiang Feng once again stood in front of Imperial Concubine Zhou, incomparably confident. Imperial Concubine Zhou, this time, you're at a loss, right? Jiang Feng, don't tell me that you think that my fame is only because of the Vairocana Heart Sutra. Imperial Concubine Zhou's unfathomable smile was somewhat dazzling to Jiang Feng's eyes. As a strategist, what Jiang Feng hated the most was encountering an enemy that he couldn't see through. He couldn't see through the person in front of him. Hundreds of years ago, Imperial Concubine Zhou was a great devil that caused people's faces to change color. Even now, no one dared to look down on this supreme martial artist of the past. However, he was the Azura tiger, Jiang Feng. Occasionally, he would bravely face her head-on. Although Jiang Feng's creed was not to fight an unprepared battle, since things had come to this point, he could only push the boat with the current. Friends of Jianghu, today, I, Jiang Feng, am willing to seek justice for all of you. If I have offended you in any way in the past, please forgive me. It's all in the past, why are you still talking about it? We all support Commander-in-Chief Jiang. Chapter 1450. Jiang Feng couldn't do it for nothing. Even if he had to fight Imperial Concubine Zhou head-on, he had to gain some advantages. After gaining the favor of these martial artists, he raised his internal force and made a gesture of invitation to Imperial Concubine Zhou. Imperial Concubine Zhou, please enlighten me. Jiang Feng cupped his hands. Come at me. Imperial Concubine Zhou casually stood in front of Chun-Er, but she was like a mountain, blocking Jiang Feng's path. If you can break through this consort's barrier, then this consort won't stop you if you want to challenge the Villa Master again. Senior, you must keep your word. Hearing this, Jiang Feng was overjoyed. Imperial Concubine Zhou still fell into his trap. Since Imperial Concubine Zhou didn't have the special effect of Vairocana Heart Sutra, and he had the help of Dragon God No. 1, it should be possible to break through her barrier. Azura Tiger. He immediately took out his strongest power, and the aura of an Azura Tiger faintly appeared behind him. The surrounding martial artists were a little flustered. What a strong pressure. The strength of a saint was simply a legendary existence. These people were monsters. They were clearly so young. How did they become martial saints? In the martial world, there was no such thing as an old saint expert. Oh, that's not right. Imperial Concubine Zhou seemed to be quite old. Azura Evil Tiger Palm, Azura Heart Destroyer, 100% power. Jiang Feng immediately used his unique skill. His palm directly hit Imperial Concubine Zhou's chest. However, Imperial Concubine Zhou didn't dodge. She just stood there and swung her long sleeves. The long sleeves fluttered like a white curtain, blocking Jiang Feng's palm. Jiang Feng immediately felt like a clay ox entering the sea. His fist immediately lost its strength. Imperial Concubine Zhou then rolled up her sleeves and stirred up her internal force. Jiang Feng's sleeves were directly shredded. He was shocked and hurriedly took a step back and withdrew his palm. Let me tell everyone. Imperial Concubine Zhou's long sleeves hung down. Her sweet smile was like 100 flowers blooming. I still have a unique skill that you probably forgot. Today, I'll say it again. It's called Cloud Net Sleeve. Imperial Concubine Zhou's words made everyone a little desperate. What's with your expressions? You can't possibly think that this empress became famous because of a single mental cultivation method, right? Imperial concubine Zhou's words were quite reasonable, and no one could refute it. Wasn't that so? If an expert wanted to make a name for himself in the pugilistic world, he couldn't just rely on a profound mental cultivation method. Even Zhang Wuji in Jin Yang's novel couldn't rely on the 9-yang divine skill alone. He also needed the heaven and earth great shift, Taiji fist, and Taiji sword to improve his external skills. Cultivating both internal and external cultivation was the true way of martial arts. Imperial consort Zhou had only used the sun-blocking cloud catcher sleeve once, but it had already shocked everyone present. This kung fu was too ingenious. It could actually use sleeves as a weapon. This kind of external martial art was a combination of hardness and softness, and he actually couldn't find any flaws in it. Jiang Feng also frowned and stood on the spot, adjusting his inner force while thinking of a countermeasure. Even without the Vairocana Sutra, Imperial consort Zhou was still a thorny problem. It seemed that he had considered too little. Imperial concubine Zhou's strength was unquestionable. An expert from hundreds of years ago, even now, he was still like the sun in the sky. Jiang Feng, continue. I haven't had enough fun yet. As Imperial consort Zhou spoke, she flicked her sleeve, and a huge amount of inner force directly rose up. The floor of the Heaven Ascension platform under her feet was immediately uprooted layer by layer, and the floor tiles flew up, heading straight for Jiang Feng. Jiang Feng immediately struck out with his palm. His powerful palm wind shattered the stone tiles. However, Imperial consort Zhou's figure followed closely behind. With a flick of her sleeve, she directly slapped Jiang Feng's face. Bang! Jiang Feng's protective aura was immediately smashed. His body also twisted in a circle, and he flew out, smashing heavily on the edge of the Heaven Ascension platform. Jiang Feng hurriedly turned over, and both his feet stepped on the ground to stabilize his body. Are you really a martial saint? Imperial consort Zhou asked Jiang Feng with a serious expression, making Jiang Feng feel like crying. Could it be that he couldn't even get past Imperial consort Zhou? He clearly had the right time, the right place, and the right people. The only explanation was that Imperial consort Zhou was indeed too powerful. It seems that I can only rely on the power of the dragon god. As Jiang Feng said this, he raised his head and glanced at the sky. In the distant space, there was still his most powerful external aid. He was determined to obtain the true celestial art. I originally didn't want to use this method, but Senior is too powerful. I have no choice but to make a move. As Jiang Feng spoke, he stretched out his hand and pointed it at the sky above his head. In the sky, the faint sound of a dragon's roar could be heard. Was it the dragon god? At this moment, almost everyone turned their gazes to the sky, as if they wanted to see the power of the legendary dragon god number 1. How awe-inspiring was the dragon god of Huaxia! A golden light suddenly descended from the sky. The nano-cores that Jiang Feng had implanted in his body in advance also began to circulate rapidly. Jiang Feng used his powerful physical body to forcefully implant 81 nano-cores in his body. Moreover, he had also boldly hidden these nano-cores in his acupoints, complementing them. If an ordinary person were to withstand so many nano-cores, their body would have long since exploded. However, Jiang Feng was an exception. He had the unique Azura physique, and before the age of 50, he was practically undying. Relying on this cheat-like talent, Jiang Feng could unleash the power of the dragon god number 1 to the extreme. A huge amount of genetic power was activated in Jiang Feng's body through the light of the dragon god number 1. At this moment, a series of black veins appeared on Jiang Feng's skin, making him look extremely creepy. At this moment, Jiang Feng didn't look like he was possessed by the dragon god. Instead, He looked like the reincarnation of a demon as he appeared in front of everyone. Imperial concubine Zhou, do you still dare to take a palm strike from me? As Jiang Feng spoke, his entire body had already transformed into the tiger-headed man. He raised his palm and directly slapped it toward Imperial concubine Zhou. Rumble. The earth trembled and the mountains shook. The place where Imperial concubine Zhou was at was already covered in dust. The power of this palm strike had already stunned all the experts present. How terrifying! Even the Heaven Ascension platform was destroyed. Was this the power of a sage? Wasn't it a little too abnormal? How could ordinary martial arts experts be a match for these freaks? Even Great Master Yu Su, Daoist priest Wu Ji, and other famous grandmasters sighed, expressing their inferiority. If I don't obtain the true celestial art, I won't be able to surpass them. Wei Yangzi, Long Bailey, and the others all silently said in their hearts as they began to encourage themselves. When the dust dispersed, Imperial concubine Zhou was still standing firmly in front of Li Fan. She had used her beautiful clouds to block this terrifying palm strike. Seeing that she was unharmed, Jiang Feng's eyes narrowed. Not bad strength. Imperial concubine Zhou couldn't help but praise. However, she soon started to criticize. However, if it isn't your own strength, you still don't know how to use it. Chapter 1451. After Jiang Feng used Dragon God's possession, his strength seemed to have increased a lot. However, Imperial concubine Zhou didn't seem to be worried. Thinking about it, when Li Fan and Muronging first practiced the Dragon and Phoenix Yin Yang sword, their strength was also very strong, but they were still defeated by Imperial concubine Zhou. Imperial concubine Zhou's martial arts experience was very rich. Even after hundreds of years in the tomb, she still didn't give up meditation, constantly simulating martial arts in her mind. Even after sleeping for so long, she still didn't fall behind the martial arts world. Imperial concubine is really powerful, but don't look down on me. Jiang Feng stood there, his body's potential was mobilized to the limit. Azura Tiger. Death Gate, open. He roared angrily, and his entire body turned black. He had completely turned into a black tiger that was walking on its hind legs. He jumped, instantly creating a pit in the ground, and in the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Imperial concubine Zhou. Jiang Feng's palm swept over, he combined his strength and the tiger's instinct, exerting his attack to the limit. Imperial concubine Zhou still didn't retreat, she rolled up her sleeves and swept Jiang Feng's claws. Dang, dang, dang. In the blink of an eye, the two exchanged more than 10 moves. Jiang Feng's strength was fierce, like a tiger pouncing on its prey. But Imperial concubine Zhou was like a fairy descending to the mortal world, untainted, and evil spirits couldn't approach her. No matter how fierce and fast Jiang Feng's attack was, Imperial concubine Zhou's sleeves followed like a shadow, every time it swept Jiang Feng's claws, making his attack invisible. Amitabha, Imperial concubine Zhou's internal strength is really unfathomable, this old monk admires. Great Master Yu Su had already seen some clues, and couldn't help but praise from the bottom of his heart. This kind of spiral force, there is only theory, but no one can practice it. Wu Jizi also understood, and with a face full of admiration, he waved his horsetail whisk. She really is like a fairy in the past, I am inferior. What Imperial concubine Zhou used was a mysterious type of internal energy. This was a type of internal energy that revolved and used. Many years ago, there was a martial arts master who created a fantastic idea. If the internal strength was rotated, it could increase its power like a drill, and it could also dissolve the opponent's strength like a whirlpool. Wouldn't it be killing two birds with one stone? But it was easy to say, but it was extremely difficult to do. Making the internal energy spin in the air was even more difficult than turning the internal energy into power. The effects of force were mutual. If one force wanted to rotate, another force would naturally have to help. In the past, the Wudang sect had created the Taiji sword. One of its moves was to make the sword spin to achieve this effect. However, this method only had the ability to defend, but not the ability to attack. At this moment, Imperial Concubine Zhou's cloud catcher sleeves that covered the sun had both offensive and defensive capabilities. It made people click their tongues in wonder and sigh at their inferiority. Paw! Just as everyone was sighing with emotion, Imperial Consort Zhou's other sleeve suddenly swept across Jiang Feng's face. Jiang Feng's body was immediately sent flying. He spun a few times in the air before landing on the ground and stabilizing himself. Roar! The quick-witted Jiang Feng let out a beast-like roar at this moment. At the same time, another Jiang Feng suddenly appeared in front of Imperial Consort Zhou. Two Jiang Fengs. Doppelganger. The martial artists were all shocked, but the evolved Jing masters could barely see that this wasn't two Jiang Fengs. The one that was lying on the ground was just an afterimage of Jiang Feng. This guy's speed was too fast. It was so fast that it surpassed everyone's eyesight, leaving behind an afterimage. At this moment, what drove Jiang Feng to fight was not his intelligence, but his instincts. The dragon body had temporarily activated his genes. At this moment, his combat power was around the level of 3 saints. Especially in terms of speed, Jiang Feng had even surpassed Li Fan's speed. He came and went, leaving only afterimages in front of everyone's eyes. Imperial Consort Zhou subconsciously lifted her sleeve to block. Bang! The sleeve exploded, but at the same time, 7 afterimages of Jiang Feng appeared beside Imperial Consort Zhou. However, Imperial Consort Zhou didn't care. To her, this kind of method couldn't fool her judgment. Imperial Consort Zhou rolled up her sleeve and swept one of the afterimages. That afterimage was directly smashed into pieces. Imperial Consort Zhou finally revealed a look of surprise. It was just another afterimage. Imperial Consort Zhou almost subconsciously turned around and flicked her long sleeve. However, Jiang Feng's attack was one step faster. His claw directly pierced through Imperial Consort Zhou's lower abdomen and pulled it out from the front. However, Imperial Consort Zhou endured the pain and flicked her sleeves. Like two mountains, they smashed onto Jiang Feng's body. Bang! Jiang Feng shook his head and took 2 steps back. Imperial Consort Zhou also turned around and took 2 steps back. She took a deep breath. Everyone present felt their internal energy leaking out from their Yongquan acupoint and instantly pouring into Imperial Consort Zhou's body. In the blink of an eye, Imperial Consort Zhou recovered. The wound on her lower abdomen had completely healed. Undying evil Buddha, everyone was aghast. Among these people, only Wang Zhini and Jiang Feng, who had sealed their acupoints, were lucky enough to not have their internal energy sucked away. The method that Qing Cheng researched just happened to seal 2 special acupoints, blocking Imperial Consort Zhou's route of absorption. However, it also required a certain amount of internal energy to block Imperial Consort Zhou's absorption method. If it was someone weaker, even if their acupoints were sealed, Imperial Consort Zhou's internal energy would still be forcefully broken through. After fighting for a while, Jiang Feng seemed to have calmed down. He began to transform from the appearance of a walking tiger. His face and body returned to their original appearance, but his limbs were still in the form of a black tiger. It's much easier this way. Jiang Feng stretched his neck. Fighting with my wild nature doesn't seem like my style. It seems that you've finally transformed. Imperial Consort Zhou looked at Jiang Feng in front of her and couldn't help but praise him. you're very good. In this era, besides Li Fan and Murong, you're the third person that I admire. Oh. Can I only be ranked behind them? Although Jiang Feng had regained his rationality, he was inevitably infected with the arrogance of an Azura tiger. Why don't we compare again? There's no need to compare. Imperial Consort Zhou bluntly said, after all, you relied on external forces to reach this level, while Li Fan trained himself to this level. Sitting next to her, Li Fan's small face turned red. Thinking of the special assistance that Murong had provided him, Imperial Consort Zhou's words made him feel a little ashamed. What I've sacrificed, have you seen it? Jiang Feng sneered. Then, his feet suddenly shot out, leaving an afterimage, and he appeared in front of Imperial Consort Zhou. Jiang Feng decided to completely kill Imperial Consort Zhou, not giving her the opportunity to restore her body. As an immortal, he understood the horror of immortality too well. Today, in order to get rid of Li Fan and obtain the true immortal secret art, he couldn't fight with this Imperial Consort Zhou. Chapter 1452. Azura Tiger's speed was faster than ordinary people. Even Imperial Concubine Zhou couldn't completely capture Jiang Feng's movements. Bang, bang, bang. 3 consecutive moves hit Imperial Concubine Zhou's sleeves. If it wasn't for Imperial Concubine Zhou's strong internal energy, her sleeves would have been torn apart. Even so, Imperial Concubine Zhou looked like she was in danger. Even Wang Yue was a little worried. Imperial Concubine Zhou. She wouldn't be defeated like this, right? This was the invincible Imperial Concubine Zhou. Her future master. Junior sister. At this time, a senior sister secretly came to Wang Yue's side. Senior sister Liu. Why are you here? Seeing this senior sister, Wang Yue was a little uneasy. The people here were spies from the villa. If they saw that she was in contact with the Mei sect, wouldn't she be dead for sure? What are you afraid of? Are you a thief? Senior Sister Liu fiercely glared at Wang Yue. Master is looking for you. Come here quickly. Oh, on one side, Imperial Concubine Zhou and Jiang Feng were fighting fiercely. On the other side, Wang Yue was following her senior martial sister Liu towards an empty courtyard. Senior Sister Liu, why is Master looking for me? Wang Yue was a little curious and looked around. But this small courtyard seemed to be very quiet. Why did Master come to this place to find her? Go in. Seeing Wang Yue looking around in front of the moon gate, Senior Sister Liu seemed a little impatient. She pushed her from behind and pushed her into the courtyard. Wang Yue stumbled and fell into the courtyard. When she looked up, she saw her senior sister standing in the courtyard, looking at her strangely. Some of them looked at her with disdain, some had fierce eyes, and some covered their mouths and laughed. In short, no one showed any concern for him. The people here didn't seem to be her senior sisters, but her enemies. Senior Sister Liu. You, what are you doing? Wang Yue asked, trembling with fear. Bah, who is your senior sister? Senior Sister Liu sneered and glared fiercely at Wang Yue. You traitor of a Mei, how dare you call me senior sister? Senior Sister Liu. I'm not a traitor. Wang Yue was so anxious that her tears fell. It was Master who asked me to come to the villa. Don't you all know? Know what? Master was just muddle-headed for a moment. Did you take it seriously? Senior Sister Liu pursed her lips. I don't think so. An older woman at the side suddenly said this, causing the female disciples of Amei's sect to be shocked. Eldest senior sister, why are you? Senior Sister Liu thought to herself, this is the eldest senior sister. Her words carry a lot of weight among the disciples. Why couldn't she protect this girl today? That would be troublesome, right? However, Wang Yuer had always been isolated in the sect. When did she manage to climb up to eldest martial sister's high branch? From what I can see, Master has a regretful look on her face today. She must be testing this girl to see if she is loyal to Ame. If this lass is really loyal and devoted, why would she listen to a single sentence and come to the Seven Knights Villa? Eldest senior sister coldly looked at Wang Yuer. Why is Master so regretful? Why is she disappointed? It's because she wrongly accepted this ungrateful wretch. Eldest senior sister is right. Senior sister Lu nodded repeatedly. She almost clapped and cheered. Wang Yuer looked at them and felt that something was wrong. She panicked even more. No, it's not like that. I'm not a traitor. I'm helping Master get the true immortal art. Wang Yuer explained, but the female disciples around her did not listen to her at all. What are you doing? I'm a spy sent by Master. If I can't get the true immortal art, Master will die. Nonsense. Master is at the prime of his life. How can he die? That's right. Master said those words to test you. When you heard that Master can't be relied on, you betrayed the sect. Today, we're going to clean up the sect. The female disciples of Ame's sect surrounded Wang Yuer, not allowing her to escape. Wang Yuer, even though you're a traitor, Ame's sect has always placed righteousness and benevolence above all else. We're all from the same sect, so we won't kill you. Senior sister Lu had a smug and cold smile on her lips. We'll only cripple the martial arts you learned in Ame's sect. Then, you'll have nothing to do with Ame's sect. No. Don't cripple my martial arts. Senior sisters, I'm begging you, I'm begging you. Wang Yuer was so scared that she cried, but no one pitied her. Master had the intention to take Wang Yuer back to his side. Regardless of whether he returned early or if Wang Yuer returned with the true immortal art, it would not benefit the senior sisters at all. Hence, they had to make a prompt decision to lure Wang Yuer out and cripple her martial arts so that she would lose the right to fight for the position of sect leader. Forget it. Junior sister is still young. Let's give her a chance. When the eldest senior sister saw Wang Yuer's evasiveness, her heart softened. Eldest senior sister, eldest senior sister, how can you let a tiger grow in your bosom? The sisters started shouting. Eldest senior sister, sob sob sob. Wang Yuer could not help but cry. There were still people who cared about her. Come, youngest junior sister, stand behind me. The eldest senior sister pulled Wang Yuer over. Just when Wang Yuer was about to relax, the eldest senior sister suddenly extended a finger and poked Wang Yuer's acupuncture point. Wang Yuer's body immediately went limp, and she felt the true qi in her body continuously flowing out. Bitch, I've poked your qi, see. From now on, you're useless. The eldest senior sister's expression turned cold, and she looked at her junior sister with disgust. Stay in 7 Chivalry Villa and be a good dog. The senior sisters laughed, but Wang Yuer collapsed to the ground. Her tears flowed uncontrollably, wetting the ground. Why are you crying? At this moment, a reprimanding voice came from the side. How can someone from 7 Chivalry Villa cry in front of outsiders? How shameful. As the voice spoke, a ponytailed girl with a 7 Chivalry sword guard walked over. Wang Xiaoran, the leader of the 7 Chivalry sword guards and a disciple of Li Fan. Wang Xiaoran, what are you doing here? The eldest senior sister saw her and felt slightly anxious. This is an internal matter of Ame's sect. It's not up to an outsider like you to interfere. What a joke. Unlike Xia Ho, who dealt with diplomatic relations, Wang Xiaoran, as the leader of the 7 Chivalry sword guards, had never been polite to outsiders. She touched her sword and scolded, I'll teach you uneducated women a lesson. First, this is not Mount Amay, this is 7 Chivalry Villa. Second, this girl is a member of 7 Chivalry Villa. If you attack her, you'll be making an enemy of our villa. Chapter 1453. Wang Xiaoran's gaze sharpened, causing some of the Amay disciples to feel a little afraid. 7 Chivalry Mountain Villa, don't go too far. Grand Senior Sister mocked them just because she was from one of the 6 great sections. You're like clay bodhisattvas crossing the river. You can't even protect yourselves, and you still have the mind to meddle in our business. You can try. Wang Xiaoran's hand gently pulled out the sword from the scabbard. I guarantee that you will be satisfied. What a joke. Sisters, don't be afraid. We have a lot of people, and we're all elites of the sect. Why would we be afraid of this slut? Grand Senior Sister encouraged the others. There were at least 8 Amay disciples here. How could they lose to the captain of the 7 Knights Villa's guards? Moreover, the other party was only 18 or 19 years old. How powerful could he be? Although he was Li Fan's disciple, Li Fan had so many disciples. Were they all experts? If they really had such strength, the martial imperial palace would have long since been unified by them. How could it be the martial imperial palace's turn to seize power? Amay's sect was a great sect that had existed for hundreds of years. How could it be weak? Today, they would let this bitch witness the power of their Amay swordsmanship. Quick, Frosty Snow Plum Blossom Sword. All the Amay disciples pulled out the swords on their backs and glared at Wang Xiaoran. In their eyes, even if Wang Xiaoran had some ability, she would not be a match for all of them. Wang Yuer felt a little hopeless. If it was Jiang Yi or Lu Xiaohu, they would definitely be able to save her. But how could Wang Xiaoran fight against Senior Sister and the others? However, Wang Xiaoran's body suddenly flashed and the long sword in her hand stabbed out continuously. In the blink of an eye, she arrived at the other side of the courtyard. Then, she slowly sheathed the long sword. When her treasured sword was completely sheathed, the disciples of Amay screamed in pain. Their wrists were stabbed and they could no longer hold on to their treasured swords, causing them to fall to the ground. Wang Yuer was dumbfounded. This was too exaggerated. Why were all the people in the 7 Knights Villa monsters like this? Looks like I'll spare your lives for the sake of Amay's sect. Wang Xiaoran walked to Wang Yuer's side and lifted her up with one hand. She then warned the disciples of Amay's sect. If there's a next time, I'll kill without mercy. After Wang Xiaoran finished speaking, she grabbed Wang Yuer and left. Leaving behind a group of injured Amay disciples, all of them looked as if they had lost their parents. Remember, you're one of us from now on. Don't follow anyone who calls for you. As Wang Xiaoran walked, she reminded Wang Yuer, since you've joined the 7 Knights Villa, you must have this awareness. I'm responsible for the safety of every disciple in the villa, but I can't control the idiots who send themselves to death. Wang Yuer remained silent, and no one knew what she was thinking. Her current state was as if the sky had collapsed. Will I be able to return to Mount Amay in the future? I'm afraid not. If that's the case, I might as well stay in the 7 Knights Villa. But, Wang Yuer, are you willing to lose to fate? Now that he had joined the 7 Knights Villa, he should learn some real skills. Eldest Senior Sister and the others wanted to kill him. Then let them see the price of provoking me. Senior Sister, Wang Yue suddenly spoke. What is it? Say it. How should I become stronger? Practice hard. I want to become stronger faster. I want power. When Wang Yue spoke, her voice sounded very calm, but tears flowed from her eyes without stopping. Can you endure hardships? Wang Xiaoran was silent for a while, and suddenly thought of a place. I can. Wang Yue nodded without hesitation, no matter how hard it is. I will explain it to Elder Zhou. Wang Xiaoran nodded. As for the rest of the matter, she would leave it to Imperial Concubine Zhou. She was the training elder, and this title was well-deserved. Because Imperial Concubine Zhou's Vairocana Heart Sutra could also absorb and imbue internal energy. As long as Imperial Concubine Zhou was willing, it wouldn't be a problem to imbue this little girl into a master. However, the meridians and dantian of the human body were slowly cultivated. If one forcefully imbued too much internal energy, it would cause harm to the body. It would be a very unbearable pain. Moreover, her master had always advocated that the disciples should cultivate bit by bit, so that they could obtain the corresponding combat experience at different stages. If it was like Jiang Feng, who seized other people's energy, even if he used it, there would be a lot of drawbacks. However, at this moment, Jiang Feng, through his powerful wisdom, forcefully grasped the power bestowed by the dragon god, and suppressed Imperial Concubine Zhou. Although the sun-blocking cloud catcher sleeve was very strong, under Jiang Feng's powerful attack, it was becoming more and more difficult to defend. What's wrong, Li Fan? Jiang Feng sneered at Chun Er, who was standing next to him. Are you going to hide behind a woman? This isn't like you at all. Chun Er also didn't know what to say. This Jiang Feng's strength was too heaven-defying, especially today. It was really annoying. If even Imperial Concubine Zhou couldn't do anything to him, then what should they do? And Li Fan, who was sitting in the distance, was also a little anxious. Imperial Concubine Zhou actually couldn't beat Jiang Feng. If this continued, she would probably be injured. Although he couldn't use his strength right now, he couldn't let Jiang Feng be presumptuous. Dong Er, who was next to him, reached out and gently pressed Li Fan's thin shoulder. Young master, don't be impulsive, even if he rushed out, he wouldn't be able to help. Instead, he would only cause more trouble. This consort feels that you're happy too early. Imperial Concubine Zhou's body suddenly erupted with a strong force, unexpectedly sending Jiang Feng's body flying. She stood there, patted the dust on her clothes, and said without a care, this consort was just testing your depth. Your Azura tiger is indeed somewhat powerful. If it was a month ago, you might really be able to defeat this consort. But today, this consort's Vairocana Heart Sutra has been cultivated to the highest realm. While speaking, Imperial Concubine Zhou's body began to emit a golden light. You probably don't know why this consort is called the Immortal Evil Buddha. Today, this consort will use the true Vairocana Heart Sutra to let you understand. While speaking, a golden imposing aura slowly appeared behind Imperial Concubine Zhou's back. It was a golden Buddha, 5 meters tall, solemn, and exuding a Buddha's might. Seeing this Buddha, Yu Su and his fellow apprentices couldn't help but put their palms together and chant the name of Buddha. What's the use now? Jiang Feng was very confident in his own strength. He flashed forward and instantly appeared in front of Imperial Concubine Zhou. Take this. At this time, Jiang Feng's internal force was completely activated. He was full of confidence that he could definitely kill Imperial Concubine Zhou. Even if he couldn't kill Imperial Concubine Zhou, he would still severely injure her, making Li Fan lose his right and left arm. Chapter 1454. Jiang Feng decided to cripple Li Fan's right-hand man in one go. This palm contained the most powerful force in his body. Azura Chi filled his right palm, and he ruthlessly slammed it toward the top of Imperial Concubine Zhou's head. But Imperial Concubine Zhou stood there indifferently. She didn't even move, and let Jiang Feng's palm fall on her head. At the same time, Imperial Concubine Zhou raised her palm and hit Jiang Feng's lower abdomen. Bang! Jiang Feng's body directly flew out, but Imperial Concubine Zhou was still standing there. Blood trickled down from the corner of her mouth, which she wiped away. In the exchange just now, Imperial Concubine Zhou had transferred Jiang Feng's internal force to her hand, and then returned it to him. At this moment, Imperial Concubine Zhou's internal injuries were very serious, and the transfer of internal force would naturally cause a certain degree of damage to her meridians. But Imperial Concubine Zhou only needed one breath to heal her injuries. Therefore, only Imperial Concubine Zhou could use this kind of suicidal method. This was the undying evil Buddha. It's a bit shameless. Jiang Feng fell to the ground, calmed his injuries, and couldn't help but smile bitterly. This kind of fighting style was really too shameless. And it was indeed a set of martial arts tailored for Imperial Concubine Zhou. Undying Evil Buddha, this title really wasn't for nothing. You're done, it's my turn. As Imperial Concubine Zhou said this, she raised her hand and pointed in the air. A golden bell immediately appeared in the air. This bell was about 3 meters high, and covered with patterns of gods and Buddhas, and it smashed down toward Jiang Feng's head. Vairocana palm. When Wang Zhen saw this palm technique, his eyes were filled with horror. This palm technique was created by Imperial Concubine Zhou, but he had only heard a little about it. It was said that Imperial Concubine Zhou had relied on her talent in turning illusions into reality to sweep through the martial world with the Vairocana palm that could create all things. Wang Zheni thought that this was just a rumor. After all, the Vairocana Heart Sutra should be a terrifying internal cultivation technique. If there was an external cultivation technique to support it, then wouldn't Imperial Consort Zhou be a bit too terrifying? But the truth was in front of him, and he had no choice but to believe it. The golden bell fell from the sky and smashed down toward Jiang Feng. Jiang Feng didn't dare to face it head-on, and subconsciously slid back 7 or 8 meters. Rumble. The golden bell smashed heavily on the ground, creating a pit in the ground, and then slowly disappeared. Jiang Feng's body flashed, and he appeared behind Imperial Concubine Zhou. At the same time, he attacked with both of his palms. It seemed as if he wanted to take her life. Attacking from behind, Imperial Concubine Zhou couldn't use her rogue method to counterattack. However, a golden bell also appeared on Imperial Concubine Zhou's body. It wrapped around her and blocked Jiang Feng's palms. Dang! The sound of a bell rang out from his palm, and Jiang Feng actually received a backlash from his own power, forcing him to take 2 steps back. What? Jiang Feng looked at his hands and then at Imperial Concubine Zhou. The golden bell on her body was slowly dissipating. The golden light scattered in all directions like quicksand. The surrounding people cried out in surprise. With this kind of powerful strength, even if she was alone, the 7 Knights Villa would still be safe. Sure enough, even Jiang Feng couldn't help but take a few steps back. He had to reevaluate Imperial Concubine Zhou and find a way to defeat her. This woman was indeed very strong, but she was not invincible. No matter who it was, no matter how powerful they were, they would still have their own weaknesses. I am a true genius. How can I not defeat this Imperial Concubine Zhou? There must be a way. There must be. Jiang Feng's brain quickly turned, trying to find a way to solve this problem. This ability to turn illusions into reality was indeed very powerful. In addition, Imperial Concubine Zhou's undying ability was really troublesome. With the Vairocana Heart Sutra and the Vairocana Palm, Imperial Concubine Zhou was like a goddess of war. The Vairocana Palm was very powerful, and turning illusions into reality required a lot of internal energy. However, as long as Imperial Concubine Zhou breathed, all the experts present would become her power bank. Not to mention others, even he himself was the same. Although 2 of his extraordinary acupuncture points had been sealed, with Imperial Concubine Zhou's strength increasing to this level, his own internal energy was faintly unable to hold. It's time to give up. Imperial Concubine Zhou directly said, with this Empress here, no one can touch the 7 Knights Villa. Since Imperial Concubine Zhou had the strength to say this, no one present could refute her. However, Jiang Feng was not willing to give up. Today was the right time, place, and people. If he couldn't obtain the true immortal art, then the next time he wanted to take it away, it would be even more difficult. Sect leaders, this is a critical moment. Why don't you all come up and lend me a hand? Jiang Feng didn't have any other choice. He could only use the last resort and began to call for help. If I can obtain the true immortal art, I will not keep it to myself. I am willing to share it with everyone. However, the people below only looked at him with enthusiasm in their eyes, but they didn't have the intention to come up. Jiang Feng knew that these people were afraid of Imperial Concubine Zhou, and they didn't trust him. If he wanted them to help him, he was afraid that it would be very strenuous. Everyone. Don't you all want the true immortal art? After today, Li Fan and his 7 Knights Villa will take the true immortal art and flee overseas. That Li family island is their territory. When we get there, can we still ask for it back? Jiang Feng said word by word in a loud voice, the true immortal art is our China's treasure, a treasure of the martial arts world. Could it be that everyone is just going to watch as Li Fan takes it away? Commander Jiang, what you said is right. I will help you. Long Fangyu finally couldn't hold it in anymore. He immediately jumped onto the stage. This fatty Long is finally going to make his move. Although he was very shrewd, now was not the time to be calculating. If they really let Li Fan take away the true immortal art, then they would be finished. Especially now that Li Fan is still weak. They should take advantage of his illness to take his life. When this brat recovers, he and Imperial Concubine Zhou will be no match for them in Jianghu. Immeasurable deity. Huiangzi waved his horsetail whisk, ignoring his senior brother's obstruction. He also walked out. Protecting China's treasure is the responsibility of everyone in the martial arts world. Although this poor Daoist's strength is not good, I am willing to do my bit. Me too. Since Long Fangyu had stepped up, Long Bailey naturally would not fall behind. Everyone is so loyal and brave, I also cannot fall behind. Wang Zhini leisurely walked out. Although Amaze Sect's Yu Ruoying did not say anything, she still followed him to the front. My Kunlun has always avoided the world, but today, for the Central Plains treasure, I will make an exception. When Kunlun Sect's Ju Qin saw that there were so many people, he was afraid that they would eat the meat and he would not even get the soup, so he hurriedly followed behind. Other than Shaolin, all the experts of the 6 big sects had come out. For the Central Plains martial arts world. For the protection of the treasure. More and more people from the martial arts world responded. When Xia Ho saw this scene, he could not help but frown. These idiots are actually being incited by Jiang Feng. Could it be that they do not have brains? Chapter 1455. For this true immortal secret art, the entire martial arts world has become Li Fan's enemy. Imperial Concubine Zhou looked at these experts surrounding her, but her expression did not change in the slightest. All of you can come at me together. This Empress will receive all of you. For Imperial Concubine Zhou, no matter how many opponents come, she will not retreat. Because behind her is the 7 Knights Villa. If she falls, the 7 Knights Villa will also be finished. This is his foundation. Even if I have to sacrifice my life, I will protect this foundation for him. I have lived for hundreds of years, and I know him, so I have enough. I will risk everything, this is my value. Imperial concubine Zhou looked at these martial arts experts in front of her. She put her palms together, and a powerful internal force continuously emitted from her body, gathered in the air, and then condensed into a real big Buddha. The big Buddha waved its palm, sending the martial arts experts in front of it flying. Even Jiang Feng was pushed back more than 10 steps by this palm. Fuck, how can it be so strong? Is this the undying evil Buddha? Everyone looked at the nearly 10 meters tall big Buddha in shock. They were speechless for a long time. This imperial concubine Zhou's strength has already surpassed the scope of martial arts, right? Imperial concubine Zhou, have you reached your limit? Seeing that these experts have the intention to retreat, Jiang Feng immediately reminded her. Even if it's you, if you want to use such a powerful move, I'm afraid it will be a bit difficult, right? Jiang Feng looked at Imperial concubine Zhou. At this time, her face was a bit pale, without a trace of blood. Vairocana Heart Sutra can't be used continuously. Moreover, you forcefully used it for so long, your body must have suffered some damage, right? Imperial concubine Zhou, you are also a top expert. If you die in this place, wouldn't it be a pity? The Seven Knights Villa is this Empress's home. Imperial concubine Zhou calmly said, moreover, you all don't have the ability to hurt this Empress. That's not necessarily true. All of these experts are top experts. If we fight alone, we may not be able to defeat you. But if we join forces, even if we can't kill you, we will absolutely not let you off. That's why I feel that you so-called righteous sects are really funny. Imperial concubine Zhou laughed. You keep saying that you are a righteous sect, but what you do is worse than pigs and dogs. Pay! Zhou Wanshu, don't play this game with us. Long Bailey scolded, if you want to admit defeat, just say it. Don't try to provoke me. We firmly believe that the true immortal art belongs to us. No matter how you try to mislead us with your lies, you can't change the fact that you have taken away the true immortal art. Look at your villa, there are so many young experts, they must have been nurtured by the true immortal art. Your paranoia is too scary. Imperial concubine Zhou shook her head. Bengong will give you a bad evaluation of your IQ. You can only be complacent now. Wu Yangzi hugged his horsetail whisk and coldly stared at Imperial concubine Zhou. Since ancient times, evil has never prevailed over good. You, undying evil Buddha, are destined to be defeated by us today. No matter how powerful Imperial concubine Zhou was, she was only one person. Otherwise, how could she have been sealed by the heroes of the Wuling world? Since that's the case, you are the enemies of the villa. Xia Yi waved her hand. 7 hero swordsmen, get into formation. Shwa! The sound of swords being drawn rang out in unison. At that moment, the 36 7-hero swordsmen drew the swords on their waists together. The tips of their swords shone brightly under the sunlight as they pointed at the martial artists. Comparing the number of people. Jiang Feng smiled, fortunately, I also have a lot of people. As he said that, he clapped his hands. On both sides of the mountain, hundreds of imperial guards immediately stood up. In addition to the experts of the Wuling world, there were hundreds of them. No matter what, I have to maintain order here. If the people of the 7-hero villa make a move outside the martial arts arena, it will be a blatant violation of the law. Then, I will not be polite. Jiang Feng brought out this bandit theory, causing Xia Yi to gnash her teeth in hatred. However, if they really shed all pretense of cordiality here, they would fall into Jiang Feng's trap. Imperial concubine Zhou, make your choice. Jiang Feng looked at Imperial concubine Zhou with a smile. Are you going to admit defeat or die? Who do you think you are? You dare to order this Bengong? Imperial concubine Zhou coldly snorted and raised her palm. The huge Buddha also raised his palm and pressed down on Jiang Feng's head. It was as if Mount Tai was pressing down on them. Although the martial artists around Jiang Feng were somewhat afraid, they did not hesitate and raised their hands together with Jiang Feng. They mobilized their internal energy and blocked this huge palm. Boom! The ground slightly trembled and dust flew into the sky, showing how terrifying this move was. However, Imperial concubine Zhou suddenly coughed out a mouthful of blood. The huge Buddha immediately turned into a golden stream of light and slowly dissipated in the air. For a moment, the sky was as beautiful as a painting, but Imperial concubine Zhou was like a sick woman, half kneeling on the ground. However, it was only for this moment. Imperial concubine Zhou quickly stood up and circulated her internal energy again. She looked at the people in front of her ruthlessly. "You can't do it anymore, Imperial concubine Zhou." Although Jiang Feng and the others were a bit embarrassed, their expressions were still good. After all, there were so many people blocking Imperial concubine Zhou's attack. At most, they only used up some internal energy. Continue. Imperial concubine Zhou was unable to condense the huge Buddha. She could only barely condense her internal energy into a golden sword, which she held in her hand. The legend of the undying evil Buddha, let me end it. Wang Chuang seemed to have recovered some of his energy. He jumped up and kicked Imperial concubine Zhou. However, Imperial concubine Zhou's body slightly tilted to the side. Then, she stabbed her sword twice, hitting both of Wang Chuang's ankles. Wang Chuang screamed in pain and fell to the ground. Don't underestimate this consort. Even if I can't use the Virokana palm, this consort can still use the dragon-subduing sword. Imperial concubine Zhou's dragon-subduing sword was several times more powerful than Zhang Ye's. These two attacks were fast and accurate. Not just anyone could stab them. Looking at Wang Chuang lying in a pool of blood, even if Zhu Qin had some opinions about him, they were still disciples of the same sect. He immediately flew forward and pressed on Wang Chuang's acupuncture points to stop his bleeding. As expected of the undying evil Buddha. Even in this state, he still has such fighting strength. Jiang Feng chuckled. However, I've already ordered Sect Master Wang to seal 2 of these people's extraordinary acupuncture points. You won't be able to absorb any internal energy from their bodies. Just a few more people will be enough to exhaust you to death. As he spoke, he stretched out his hand. The Imperial Guard standing on the high ground all took out crossbows from their waists and aimed them at Imperial concubine Zhou. What's more, with my 100 crossbows, how long will you be able to withstand them with your current strength? Jiang Feng's calculations were so deep. It seemed like he was determined to win. The Seven Knights Villa seemed to be facing a calamity. Meanwhile, Chun-Er, who was playing the role of Li Fan, stood motionless on the stage as if he had been scared stiff. Everyone was muttering to themselves. Li Fan didn't seem to be anything special. He hadn't even made a move at this moment. It seemed like his cultivation had really gone berserk. Chapter 1456. Li Fan's cultivation went berserk, and this was the best time to seize the true immortal art. Everyone was secretly delighted, but they didn't know that the real Li Fan was anxiously sitting in the corner. If this goes on, Imperial Consort Zhou might be buried with the manor. As the manor lord of the manor, he could only sit here and watch the show. Li Fan, oh, Li Fan, I really didn't expect that you would have such a day. You're too useless. Li Fan couldn't summon any internal strength. It could be said that today, Li Fan didn't have any internal strength at all. Even if he used a high-level breathing technique to breathe in the heaven and earth essence qi, it would immediately be released from his pores and couldn't be kept. The reversal of yin and yang was this overbearing, not giving any face at all. Li Fan suddenly thought, since the person they want is me, why do they have to implicate Imperial Consort Zhou and the manor? I might as well hand myself over and let them torture me. Li Fan thought of this and was about to walk out, but Dong still held him down. Dong, let me out. Li Fan said, staying here is worse than death. Young master, there is no coward in the Seven Knights Manor. Dong Er's expression didn't change at all, which was in line with her usual calm character. Even if it's destroyed, we can just build another one. Nonsense, the manor can be rebuilt, but what if people are injured or dead? If people are injured, they can be healed. If people die, their fate is over. Dong Er voiced her thoughts. Master, if you're overly worried, you'll delay your own cultivation. I am the little overlord, Li Fan. Li Fan's eyes turned sharp. Xia pull Dong away. Li Fan ordered, but the two beautiful sword maids looked at each other. No one had the intention to help. Mister. I can go and fight with them. Master, if you are not happy, you can stab Xia twice to vent your anger. Li Fan was a little angry. These three girls actually dropped the ball at the critical moment. Although they couldn't be blamed, Li Fan was burning with anxiety now, so it was inevitable that his temper would be a little bigger. How embarrassing. At this moment, a woman's voice rang out in Li Fan's mind. How did such a fool subdue me? Little sweetheart, what are you worried about? I'll help you, okay? Who else could this weirdo be other than the nine-tailed divine fox? This guy actually woke up so quickly. I've only absorbed a little bit of energy. You're too weak. Your energy isn't enough. I had no choice but to wake up. As long as you need me, I can help. Would you be so kind? Li Fan was immediately alarmed. The nine-tailed divine fox was a real fox spirit, so it had to be extremely cunning. He had to be more vigilant and careful. You're not worthy for me to make a move. I'm willing to settle everything for my sweetheart. However, you can see my love, but you have to let me understand your love. You want to make a deal with me? Li Fan understood that the nine-tailed divine fox wanted to negotiate. If you want me to let you go, that's definitely not possible. Do you think you can trap me? Little sweetheart, I know that I can't get out. I just want to make another request. Tell me about it. Li Fan made his move. The nine-tailed divine fox didn't even need to tempt him with words. She just needed to use the timing of her appearance to deal with him. This woman was truly impressive. Even when she was sealed, she could still grasp such a good opportunity. I don't need your help. Release this seed obediently. If you're willing to help me deal with an enemy, I can help you this once. The nine-tailed divine fox's words echoed in his ears. Who are you going to deal with? Shut up. I don't need your help. It's not an enemy, it's an organization, a powerful and terrifying organization. Even the nine-tailed divine fox was a little panicked at the mention of this organization. What organization? Tell me about it. It's none of your business. Shut your mouth. Human realm beyond heaven. The nine-tailed divine fox had mentioned this name to him before. Alright, I promise you. Hurry up and help me. I won't make a deal with trash like you. Aren't you curious about what kind of organization Human Realm Beyond Heaven is? I don't have time to ask about that now. Hurry up. Li Fan saw that Imperial concubine Zhou was getting weaker and weaker, and it seemed like he couldn't keep an eye on her for much longer. Even if she was an expert, she wouldn't be able to withstand a group of martial arts fanatics. As the saying goes, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. Seeing that you're sincere, I'll let you go this time. This power is being slowly absorbed from you, so I'll let you use it for a while. However, you must remember that this amount of power is only enough for you to maintain for 5 minutes. You must finish the battle within 5 minutes. Otherwise, even if we're deities, we won't be able to help you. If you're really deities, then you'll definitely be able to help me. If you're talking nonsense again, I'll cut off your tongue. Hee, my enemy, why don't you ask about the whereabouts of the true immortal arts? Don't tell me you're looking down on me too much. Li Fan sneered, it's just an incomplete manual. I'm not interested in learning it. My martial arts can also reach the realm of the true immortal arts. I don't need the help of other secret manuals. With Li Fan's stubborn donkey character, once he set his mind on something, even 10 oxen can't pull him back. Hypocritical fellow, you want to use these words to deceive me. Darling, you're so interesting. If I still have my physical body, I might be able to date you. The 9-tailed divine fox was sealed in the pearl, and this pearl was currently in his bosom. Thus, when she spoke, it was as if she was whispering in his ear, bringing with it a kind of numbing feeling. This woman was a bit scary. Quickly get out of my sight. Hee, don't play for too long. I'll wait for you. The 9-tailed divine fox seemed to have temporarily returned the power to Li Fan. Li Fan's body suddenly trembled. Following that, his body exploded with a powerful inner force. Under Dong Er's shocked gaze, he pushed her 2 steps back. Dong Er, you've changed your mind. Dong Er, aren't you sending Master to his death? The other 2 beautiful sword servants hurriedly reprimanded. Dong Er looked at her left hand, unable to say anything for a long time. Are you here to ruin my villa? Li Fan smiled as he walked. Everyone, I'll make the decision for you. Every time Li Fan took a step out, his body would grow slightly larger. When he walked out of the corner, he had already returned to his normal size. After Chun Er received her husband's voice transmission, she obediently retreated from the arena and found a corner to hide. Husband, please don't let anything happen to you. Looking at her husband's back, Chun Er and the other beautiful sword servants started to worry. Chapter 1457. Every time Li Fan took a step forward, his figure would grow a bit longer. Chun had already received Li Fan's voice transmission. Taking advantage of the chaos in the crowd, she quietly left the ruins of the heaven-reaching platform. Imperial concubine Zhou, you are still stubborn. That Li Fan has already run away. That's right, why do you have to risk your life for this kind of villain? When the crowd discovered that Li Fan had disappeared, they all laughed. Imperial concubine Zhou, however, remained calm and collected. She was barely resisting the siege of these experts. Her body was occasionally injured, but she would quickly recover. However, this also consumed a lot of Imperial concubine Zhou's internal strength. She would not be able to hold on for long. What a pity, the dignified undying evil Buddha will die here today. Jiang Feng seemed to be mocking Imperial concubine Zhou. Imperial concubine Zhou, this is your fate. If you want to run away, no one here can stop you. Unfortunately. Everyone was laughing. The true immortal secret art was just around the corner. Moreover, Imperial concubine Zhou would actually be killed by them. This was too exciting. In Jianghu, reputation was as important as martial arts. As long as they could kill Imperial concubine Zhou, their reputation would soar. Who said that I, Li, would run away? Just when the crowd was preparing to continue to attack and take Imperial concubine Zhou's life, an unruly voice suddenly flew out from the side and echoed in the villa. Everyone turned to look and saw Li Fan putting on a black robe with golden edges as he walked over. He looked calm, but his eyes were filled with murderous intent. Every step that Li Fan took, everyone felt as if he was stepping on their hearts, thumping loudly. This seat will only help you this once. Hee, time is precious, I will leave it to you. After that, I will fall asleep again. The voice of the nine-tailed divine fox rang in his ears. Li Fan had already put on his robe and stood in front of everyone. Indeed, time was precious, and he only had 5 minutes. In these 5 minutes, he must defeat the crowd. Li Fan. Jiang Feng saw Li Fan's gaze and was somewhat surprised. This was not the gaze of a weakling. Instead, it was filled with killing intent. Li Fan didn't answer. He stretched out his hand and the 7 heroes' sword on Yin Zhozhou's waist immediately flew out and fell into Li Fan's hand. Dance of the Dragons. Li Fan carried his long sword and instantly turned into a shadow. In the blink of an eye, he passed through the crowd of Jianghu heroes. The power of a saint-level expert. Moreover, it was done in anger. How could these martial artists be a match for it? Even Wu Yangzi and the rest could only see a flash of black light before they felt a sharp pain in their right wrists. The tendons in their right hands had actually been torn apart. In the blink of an eye, all the experts surrounding Imperial concubine Zhou had been stabbed. Only Jiang Feng was barely able to block the attack. Not only that, in the blink of an eye, Li Fan had already landed on the hill at the side. He glared coldly at the hundreds of royal guards in front of him. Doppelganger. Another Li Fan immediately jumped out and grabbed another sword. Then, he stepped on Li Fan's shoulder with one foot and cooperated with him to form the yin-yang sword of the dragon and phoenix. Although Li Fan couldn't practice this sword technique to the second or third layer, he had no problem practicing the first layer. The two of them simultaneously turned into shadows and instantly cut through the crowd. In the blink of an eye, the hundreds of royal guards had their tendons pierced by the long swords and fell to the ground. With the power of one person, Li Fan had resolved the crisis of the 7 heroes' villa in an instant. He withdrew his doppelganger and carried his sword as he stared at the crowd of Jianghu heroes below. With me, Li Fan, here, who dares to cause trouble in my 7 heroes' villa? With the current medical science, even if the tendons of the legs and hands were cut, they could still be reattached. However, these people probably wouldn't be able to use force for a short period of time. Li Fan's methods were ruthless and swift. He had indeed intimidated the martial artists here. Whoever still wants the true immortal art, you must first ask the sword in my hand. With that, Li Fan's figure suddenly flashed. The distance of tens of meters was instantly crossed by him and he stood in front of Long Fangyu. Long Fangyu was an ambitious and formidable person, but at this moment, he was so scared by Li Fan that he fell to the ground on his butt. Long Fangyu, don't you want the true immortal art? Come, fight with me. If you don't die, I will give you the true immortal art. No, no. Villa Masterly, don't you also want the true immortal art? Li Fan turned around and pointed his sword at Long Bailey. Long Bailey was so scared that he took a few steps back. He lost his balance and directly fell down from the heaven-reaching platform. Come, whoever wants the true immortal art, I will give you this opportunity. Li Fan's voice wasn't loud, but it was filled with threat. Everyone present was alarmed. From today onwards, all of you are my 7 Knights Villa's enemy. Li Fan said mercilessly, if any of you dare to come to my Li family island, I will kill you without mercy. Now, get out of the villa. Since he had ordered them to leave, these people didn't dare to stay any longer. With their faces covered in dirt, they endured the pain of their wounds and walked out. Sure enough, cultivating the true immortal art is different. Everyone's heart was filled with regret. This time, they actually couldn't smoothly obtain the true immortal art. It was such a pity. They had also experienced the power of the true immortal art. It was indeed powerful. No matter what, even if they had to use any means, they must obtain the true immortal art. When Amei Sexu Roying left, she gave her little disciple a meaningful look. Wang Yuer, this matter will depend on you. When everyone left, Jiang Feng still stood there and looked at Li Fan with some unwillingness. What, Commander Jiang, do you want me to send you off? Li Fan sneered. Li Fan, you injured so many of my people. The Imperial Army will definitely not let you off. Feel free to come. Li Fan laughed, don't think that I will be afraid of you. The government and I have an agreement. You can go back and complain. Let's see if they will care about you. With that, he crossed his arms and looked at Jiang Feng mockingly. Moreover, how does it feel to be a dog for the U.S. Empress? Don't you feel that your wallet has become a lot richer? Third brother, what are you talking about? As your second brother, how can I not understand? Jiang Feng pretended to be stupid. However, as your brother, I still have a word to advise you. A just cause enjoys abundant support while an unjust cause finds little. Look at you, what have you become now? Not to mention in the international arena, even in China, you will find it difficult to move an inch. Brother, you don't need to worry about this. Li Fan cupped his hands, I have my own principles. At least I have a clear conscience. Really? Jiang Feng sneered, sending my sister to assassinate me, you called that a clear conscience? What did you say? Li Fan's eyes widened, Jiang Feng, your ability to frame people is getting better and better. You just open your mouth and say it. The previous agreement is still valid. But remember, you and I have a grudge. If you and I go, don't bring my sister along. Jiang Feng didn't say anything more. After saying this, he turned around and left. Jiang Yi, who was at the side, had an ugly expression. Chapter 1458. Speak, what's going on? Li Fan has already changed back to the appearance of a child. He sits cross-legged on the mat in his small courtyard. Chun-Er kneels beside him and pours tea for Li Fan. As for Jiang Yi, she lowers her head and kneels in front of Li Fan without saying a word. You don't want to say. Li Fan has the appearance of a child, but his words are serious. What, is it that now that master has become small, you dare to be disobedient? No, it's not like that, Jiang Yi hurriedly says, it was me who was obstinate. I thought that Jiang Feng was trouble, so I wanted to kill him. Although your temper is somewhat stubborn, you have always listened to master's words and understand master's thoughts. You will not do anything that will make master unhappy. Li Fan's small hand picks up the teacup and slightly shakes it in his hand. So, for you to be able to do such a thing, it is definitely not your own idea. Speak, who made you do such a thing? Indeed, I was muddle-headed for a moment. Jiang Yi apologized profusely, Master, please punish me. Li Fan looks at Jiang Yi and does not know what to do. Although this lass went a bit overboard this time, she also wholeheartedly wanted to get rid of a potential opponent for him. It is just that she used a method that he does not like. Master, please punish me. Jiang Yi lowers her head and kneels in front of Li Fan. Disciple is willing to accept punishment. Forget it. Li Fan waves his hand, I will punish you to face the wall and reflect on your mistakes for a month. Properly reflect on your mistakes. Yes, Jiang Yi agrees, and then Li Fan waves his hand to let her face the wall. Husband, are you suspecting Xiaoye? Chun-Er asks while helping Li Fan brew tea. I am not suspecting her, but I am suspicious of the person behind her. Li Fan sits there with a frown, this is already the second matter. The first is the extermination of Murong's family, and the second is the case of Jiang Yi assassinating her brother. What is the connection between these two matters? Chun-Er is somewhat unable to understand. It may seem like it's not a big deal, but it's actually a big deal. Li Fan put the two teacups together and pointed. There's a very important connection between these two incidents. What kind of contact? Please tell me, husband. That's me. Li Fan pointed at himself and continued, both of these things are good for me. Besides, it's good for me. Husband, you mean to say that this person is among us? Chun-er felt that Li Fan was hinting at something. Yes. Li Fan nodded. Moreover, it should be someone very close to me. This person probably wanted to help me, but he used unscrupulous methods that crossed my bottom line. Then what do you plan to do, husband? Chun-er asked. This person hides very well. It will probably be very difficult to find him. Li Fan waved his hand. Let's just wait and see. I want to see what other tricks this person has up his sleeves. Then you should rest in peace, husband. You will recover your strength tomorrow. Yes, it's all thanks to you taking care of me. Li Fan looked at Chun-er with great emotion. When his cultivation regressed, it was all thanks to Chun-er and the others who stayed by his side. However, in a hurry, he promised to seek revenge on Heavens Beyond for the nine-tailed divine fox. But what exactly was Heavens Beyond? Li Fan was a little confused. Husband, it's the martial arts circle convention in a few days. Are you leaving in a few days? Chun-er could not hide her thoughts and asked. Yes. Li Fan nodded. The earlier I leave the pugilistic world, the earlier I can. You saw what happened today, right? Those so-called pugilistic world experts don't have the integrity of a pugilistic world person. They are all greedy people. If I don't leave, I'll be eaten by them sooner or later. You don't have to leave with the villa. Chun-er could not help but remind Li Fan. You should consider challenging the four sages. Yes, you've reminded me. Li Fan suddenly remembered that he still had something to do. Looks like I have to discuss it with the dragon lady. Thinking of this, Li Fan could not be bothered with drinking tea. He put down the teacup, stood up, and slowly walked toward the place where the dragon lady lived. The dragon lady ate and drank well in this villa. She built her house on a cliff, and every day, she could look out the window and see the beautiful scenery outside. However, this girl spent most of her time watching Korean dramas and snacks. She rarely looked at the scenery. When Li Fan arrived, she was lying on the windowsill, lazily basking in the evening sun while eating snacks and watching cartoons. Seeing Li Fan walk in, the dragon lady suddenly threw away the snacks in her hand and went forward to hug Li Fan. Ignoring his struggle, she lifted him up high. What are you doing? Put me down. Hee, I haven't seen you for a few days. How did you regain your youth? The dragon lady seemed to be very excited. This appearance really suits you. Come and let me play with it. What the hell are you playing with? Put me down. Li Fan kept complaining, so the dragon lady put him down. How did you know it was me? Li Fan was very curious. How could he be recognized in his current appearance? Your smell hasn't changed. The dragon lady stared at Li Fan with interest. Quickly tell me, how did you regain your youth? I practiced an evil technique. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders, but don't worry, I'll be able to change back tomorrow. That's such a pity. The dragon lady was a little depressed. If only you were always like this, I could bully you. Don't mess around. Li Fan slapped away the dragon lady's fingers that were about to pinch his face. I came here to ask you something serious. What other serious matter could you have? The dragon lady was very curious. It seemed that in her eyes, Li Fan did not do his proper work every day. After I came back, I have been in closed-door cultivation and did not have the time to chat with you. Li Fan sat down on the chair beside him. Tell me about heavens beyond first. The dragon lady's expression suddenly changed and became somewhat ugly, as if Li Fan had said something he shouldn't have. Did that nine-tailed divine fox tell you? Yes. Li Fan nodded. I made a deal with her today. I will help her destroy heavens beyond. You're crazy. That's impossible. The dragon lady warned Li Fan, although your martial arts have been trained to the highest realm, heavens beyond is the immortal realm. There is a group of perverted immortals living there who are in charge of supervising the human world. However, this was a long time ago. I only heard about it from my ancestors. I don't know if heavens beyond really exists. How are you going to challenge them in a place that you don't even know exists? I still have to try. Li Fan laughed. Everyone has to have a goal. You should first settle the matter of the martial god palace. The dragon lady rolled her eyes. Chapter 1459. Speaking of which, there is another matter that I need to find you for. Li Fan hurriedly says, let's prepare to challenge the four holy tower. May I ask the beautiful dragon race to be my guide? You only come to find me when you have something to do, but when you have nothing to do, you throw me aside. Dragon girl pouts, providing for me with good food and drinks, hiding a mistress in a golden house. Are you treating me as a mistress? What are you talking about? Li Fan hurriedly explains, you are my mentor. You are also our Huaxia's treasure, I treat you like an honored guest. Dragon girl becomes even more unhappy. She turns her head to the side and looks out of the window. The white mist outside had obscured the town below. Li Fan looks out and feels a little emotional. He really didn't expect that in the blink of an eye, he would have to leave this place. Dear mentor, who are you angry at? I specially instructed the kitchen to make a roasted lamb for you today. I guarantee that you will be happy and satisfied, as if you are in heaven. You think a roasted lamb will be enough to get me off? Dragon girl finally turns her head and glares at Li Fan. Then 3. Deal. Dragon girl wipes her saliva and says seriously, although I don't think highly of the current four holy tower, as long as they are in their own tower, they are almost invincible. Are you sure you want to challenge them? Yes, I also promised Miss White Tiger that I will accomplish my mission. Li Fan still keeps his promise. All right then. Dragon girl nods and points out of the window. Actually, not far from here is the White Tiger Holy Tower. If you want to challenge it, I can bring you around tonight. I'm afraid I can't tonight. My body will only recover tomorrow. Li Fan sets the time, then tomorrow night it is. We will explore White Tiger Tower together. Then I have to make some preparations in advance. Dragon girl stands up again and stretches. She lifts up her clothes, revealing her beautiful waist. Even Li Fan can't help but take a few more glances. Is it nice? The dragon lady's sudden question made Li Fan's old face turn red. No, it was his little face that turned red. She's pretty, but her chest is a little small. Bah, this dragon lady has a Lolita body. Uncle Killer, do you understand? That. I'm not at the level of an uncle yet, right? We're close. Look at that look in your eyes. He's about to become a perverted uncle. Dragoness suddenly reached out and pinched Li Fan's cheeks a few times. Little brother, be good and wait for big sister here. Big sister will be back soon. Li Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He wasn't going to sit here and wait for Dragon Girl. Who knew what this girl would do to him when she came back? The fewer people who knew about his shrinking, the better. Thus, Li Fan sneaked back to his room and returned to Chun Er's side. Originally, he wanted to come back and sleep in. After all, he couldn't cultivate today. Unexpectedly, as soon as he arrived in this room, Li Fan received a call from General Ran. "Old Ran, why are you looking for me again?" Brother, why does your voice sound a little strange?" General Ran's surprised question came from the phone. "Ahem, I've caught a cold recently. My voice is sharp." Li Fan coughed twice and tried to make his voice a little rough. "You're like a weasel paying a visit to a chicken. You're up to no good. Tell me, what's the matter?" "Brother, we're brothers. I won't allow you to judge yourself like that." General Ran retorted, "How can you be a chicken? Fuck, if you have something to say it quickly. I'm still busy. If you don't say it, I'm hanging up." Okay. Don't worry. I'll say it now." General Ran hurriedly begged for mercy. "You're right. I do have something to ask of you." "TSK, I knew it. Say it, what's the matter?" "The higher-ups think that you're a talent. Although the Seven Knights Villa is moving overseas, they hope that you can stay and continue to do something for us. Of course, there's a reward. They won't let you do it for nothing." "Oh. What's the matter?" Li Fan was not in a hurry to refuse. He asked first. "I can't give you the Shangfang sword, but the higher-ups have decided to give you another special position. It's under the Ministry of National Security's 9th Division, and it's responsible for supernatural cases." "Why? You want me to eat the government's money again?" Li Fan laughed. "You know that I'm not short of money now. I even extorted a few $100 million from the Americans a while ago. I can be considered a small nouveau riche, right?" "Fuck, you call that a small nouveau riche? You can be called a capitalist." General Ran cursed in his heart. "What an evil capitalist. I know that you're not short of money, so the higher-ups appointed you to join the Ministry of National Security's 9th Division. Every time you complete a task, the country will give you some special subsidies for Lee Island." "What kind of financial subsidies?" "For example, opening up some sea routes, carrying out some legal trade, or promoting the tourism industry project of Lee Family Island." General Ran's conditions really hit Li Fan's heart. If Lee Island wanted to survive, the mainland's help was indispensable. For example, promoting the tourism industry of Lee Island. With the spending power of tourists from the mainland, Lee Island would definitely earn a lot of money. Now that Taiwan and South Korea were making a ruckus, Chinese tourists started to boycott the tourism of these two countries. The amount of losses was almost astronomical. The most pitiful was Wan. Now, the tourism industry was almost in decline. Many local businessmen were crying their eyes out and could only curse the stupid policies of those in power. How about it? Think about it. General Ran did not force Li Fan to agree but gave Li Fan some space to think. "Okay, I'll think about it. I'll give you an answer tomorrow." Li Fan was not in a hurry to answer. He hung up the phone, but Chun-er was puzzled. "Husband, Chun-er is stupid. I don't understand. Didn't the government ask you to leave Huaxia because they fear your power? Why are they not letting you leave now?" "They are afraid of my power, but they are even more afraid of the powerful force behind me." Li Fan smiled. "So, the Seven Knights Villa must leave Huaxia. They want to make me a figurehead. The reason why they want me to stay is very simple. First, they think that I can be used. Second, they might also be eyeing the perfected immortal art. This was a cultivation technique. It was impossible to say that the people in power were not tempted. Unreasonable." Chun-er was a little angry. "Husband, you risked your life to save this world. Why are those people only eyeing the perfected immortal art? They did not even say a word of gratitude to you. The world is bustling, and everyone comes for benefits. The world is bustling, and everyone comes for benefits. Li Fan, on the other hand, was very relieved. It's not worth it to be angry over such a thing. Although the people in power have ulterior motives, this is an opportunity for me. If Li Island wants to become stronger, I have to cooperate with them. Moreover, I am a Chinese. There is nothing wrong with working for my country. Chapter 1460. The next day, Li Fan promised General Ran that he would be a special agent of the 9th Bureau of the National Security. As a special agent, General Ran briefly explained the rights and responsibilities of this job to Li Fan. The Secret Service of the 9th Division of the State Security reported to the director, and all the missions were issued by the director. There was no immunity for murder, but in special times, the local special police could be mobilized to cooperate with the operation. Li Fan's main job was to deal with the cases of superhumans breaking the law. For example, cases like martial arts masters, mutants, magicians, and other cases that ordinary police could not handle. In China, there was only the Imperial Army that was responsible for supervising and maintaining the order of the Jianghu. But other than the martial arts world, there were many different kinds of masters among the people, and someone needed to maintain order in this part. Once humans obtained power that surpassed ordinary humans, they would begin to inflate. Breaking the law and committing crimes was a common thing. The responsibility of the Shangfang sword was even greater. He was responsible for the safety of a nation. It was precisely because of the existence of the Shangfang sword that the other countries did not dare to make a move against China. However, this position was currently vacant. It was said that General Ran and the others had found a lot of people, but they were all rejected by the Shangfang sword. I will report to the 9th Bureau of the State Security during the day, and we will leave at night. There was an office of the 9th Directorate of the National Security Bureau here in Spanish Baoquan. After Li Fan greeted the Dragon Lady, he used his qinggong and headed towards the city. The State Security 9th Division's office was in the State Security Bureau, and this was the first time Li Fan entered a government building. There were many office staff inside, and there were even soldiers standing guard at the door. However, Li Fan had an electronic recommendation letter, so he could come and go as he pleased. You are Li Fan. The 9th Bureau of State Security's office was not small, but there were not many people inside. After Li Fan entered, there was only a beautiful woman in her 20s. She was wearing a police uniform and seemed to be looking through some documents. Are you here to trade for a water dispenser? The machine is at the door. It has been broken for a few days. Hurry up and change it. Hearing someone come in, the woman asked without raising her head. Hello, I'm here to join the company. Li Fan said politely. Hired. The woman finally raised her head. She was wearing a pair of rimless glasses, which suited her face very well. She looked like a smart girl, a typical government worker. Yes, my name is Li Fan. Li Fan took out his ID and placed it on the table. Oh, it's you. I've received a notification. The woman gave Li Fan a smile. We'll be colleagues from now on. My name is Enchanting. She pointed to the seat next to her. No one is using that desk yet. You can sit there. Once I'm done with the information I have, I'll take you to go through the employment procedures. Alright, sorry to trouble you. Li Fan looked at his desk. It was very clean, and there was nothing on it. However, Li Fan didn't care. He basically wouldn't be on duty. He reckoned that he wouldn't have much time in the office in the future. Let's go. I'll take you to go through the procedures. And Jing adjusted her shirt and Li Fan realized that her breasts weren't small. Ahem, what am I looking at? This is a colleague. The National Security Agency probably doesn't like office romances, right? What's more, he already had a lot of luck with women. Besides, they might not even fancy him. However, from the looks of it, Jing didn't seem to know who he was. After beating up Takeda, he filmed a TV series, but there were many Chinese celebrities. He hadn't appeared in public for a long time, so his popularity had slowly died down. Jing looked at Li Fan and only found him familiar. She didn't recognize him. We have a 9-to-5 system. It's a normal weekend, and there are allowances for holidays. Jing introduced the work system to Li Fan. There aren't many requirements. After all, superpower crimes are rare. Basically, our department has nothing to do. Jing sighed. Back then, I wanted to go to the criminal police unit, but the 9th Bureau lacked manpower. The benefits were pretty good, so I transferred here. In the end, I didn't have much to do every day. All I did was help my colleague sort out some information. From the looks of it, Jing's temper was quite good. There aren't many people in the 9th Bureau. Other than me, there's only a division chief and a field agent. The division chief is in his 40s. He's quite nice, and he's a little bald. It doesn't matter how you joke, but don't ever mention his baldness. Otherwise, he'll get angry. Is that so? I'll remember that. Yes, the other officer's name is Little Chin. He's in his 30s and single. Jing adjusted her glasses. He doesn't have a good temper. He's the only field agent in our 9th Bureau. However, we rarely have field missions, so he doesn't have much work to do every day. That's why he doesn't come to the office much. As she spoke, she led Li Fan to the Human Resource Management Office. The Human Resource Minister was a woman in her 40s. She looked very capable and experienced. After asking a few questions, she prepared to handle Li Fan's induction. Comrade Li Fan, in the future, you will be an outstanding special agent in the 9th Bureau. I hope you will take your work seriously and complete every mission given to you by the organization. Okay. Li Fan nodded. Jing, who was beside him, was suddenly surprised. She covered her mouth and looked at Li Fan in surprise. What's wrong? You're actually a special agent. Heavens, after he came out, Jing couldn't help but ask, Li Fan. Are you a relative of one of the ministers? Why do you say that? Because the 9th Bureau is a leisurely yamen. There's not much work a day, so it's easy for special agents to be promoted. Jing explained to Li Fan. Basically, after reading the newspaper for 2 years, you'll be promoted to the 1st Bureau. You might even be promoted to the position of a section chief. People like us who don't have any background or power can't do it. It's already not bad if we can become a section chief after so many years. Ha ha ha, don't worry. It won't be long before our bureau gets busy. Li Fan laughed. General Ran and the others had sacrificed a lot of benefits to put him in this position. They definitely wouldn't let him be a free lunch. You all look quite imposing when you first came. It reminds me of when I just graduated, Jing said and emphasized. As Jing said, she emphasized, of course, I just graduated a year ago. Perhaps I'm even younger than you. Yeah, Missy Jing looks like an 18 or 19-year-old girl. Since coaxing people was free, Li Fan might as well say it out loud. You want to hit on me? Jing nudged her glasses and looked at Li Fan with a faint smile. Li Fan was taken aback. Was Jing feeling a little too good about herself? Give up. You can't stand me. However, Jing suddenly said that. Chapter 1461. Li Fan was a little confused. What did this mean? Could it be that this girl was a war goddess in bed? Could it be that even men could not withstand her demands? Looking at the female colleague in front of him, Li Fan couldn't help but size her up. Enrich had shoulder-length hair and neat bangs. She wore black-rimmed glasses, and behind the lenses was a pair of spirited black eyes. Enrich's skin was very fair. As the saying went, whiteness covered 100 ugliness. Furthermore, Enrich herself was very pretty. She wore a white shirt and a pair of black wide-legged trousers. Enrich didn't have a devilish figure, but she had a pair of slender legs that could drive men crazy. Enrich was just like her name. Her temperament also exuded a sense of tranquility. Such a beauty with a good job was definitely someone many men fancied. However, Li Fan couldn't help but remind her. Well, I'm not looking for a boyfriend for now. Enrich said. No. The button on your collar is crooked. Enrich immediately turned around and fastened the button before turning around with a red face. As you can see, I'm very muddle-headed. Boys can't stand me. No, having a muddle-headed girlfriend seems very cute. Li Fan laughed as Enrich looked at Li Fan seriously. No, my mother said that I can't get married like this. So, before I fix my muddle-headed habit, I won't be dating. Enrich said as she clenched her tiny fists. I'll definitely succeed before the end of the year. Seeing Enrich's hard work, Li Fan wanted to laugh. The 9th Bureau of the National Security seemed to be quite fun. If he were to graduate from university normally and become a civil servant, he would probably be delighted to be able to work here. By the way, since you're a special agent, are your combat skills very powerful? Enrich sized up Li Fan curiously. Which army were you promoted from? Special Forces. I remember that China's most powerful special forces should be the Red Paratroopers, right? I'm not a Special Forces soldier, Looks like you really are the child of a high-ranking official. No wonder, those special forces are all tanned, but you are so fair and clean. You make me sound like a pretty boy. You're not that handsome. Anyway, work hard. Enrich gave Li Fan another smile. I'm our backup. I'll provide you with the greatest help. Of course, if there's a field mission. She put her hands behind her back and walked slowly to the office. We're too free. In the past, it was said that the martial artists in the Jianghu were a threat, so there was a ban on martial arts. Now that the prohibition on martial arts is gone and there's a new batch of Imperial Guards, there's nothing left for our 9th Bureau of National Security to do. Although the Royal Guards are quite powerful, they can't be considered a force cultivated by the government. Li Fan said, if this force is used well, it's like a knife, but if it betrays you, it's like a gun pointing at yourself. Shh, don't let outsiders hear what you just said. The Royal Army is an important force of our government. Yes, Miss Enrich is right. You're glib-tongued and spouting nonsense. Be careful not to get scolded by the director. Didn't you say that the director has a good temper? I said you were joking that he's bald. Li Fan was rather speechless. Enrich actually had such a black-bellied side to her. As expected of people who entered the government. They were indeed not simple. The director seems to be here. Enrich glanced at the open office door. Remember, don't mention that he's bald. Okay. Li Fan made a mental note as he followed Enrich back to the office. At that moment, a middle-aged man in his 40s was sitting at the largest table in the office. He was slightly plump, had a crew cut, and was dressed in a clean and tidy suit. Director, this is the new special service member, Li Fan. Oh, little Li, hello. The director greeted Li Fan, but Li Fan was a little surprised as he subconsciously asked. Director, do you have hair? And Jing immediately broke down. She stood at the door in a daze as she fell into a petrified state. My hair. My hair is still growing. The director smiled and said, Shaoan, you little girl, are you saying that I'm bald? How is that possible? I have a head of healthy hair. And Jing was somewhat surprised. The director's attitude towards Li Fan was actually that good? Yes, Li Fan suddenly understood. Holy shit, the director is wearing a wig. General Ran has informed me that you're our special service member. You have to work hard in the future, little Li. The director specially walked over and affectionately patted Li Fan on the shoulder. If you have any difficulties in your work or life, feel free to mention them to me. I'll do my best to help you resolve them. Thank you, Director Yang. Li Fan said. Indeed, General Ran had already informed him. He's indeed the son of an official, and Jing mumbled inwardly. It's best not to make him angry, lest I lose my job. What's wrong with little Chin? Why isn't he coming to work? Director Yang suddenly asked. Didn't the director say that he doesn't have to come when there's nothing important? And Jing was a little dumbfounded. She didn't know what Director Yang was up to today. This is the right of a special service member. He's a field agent, so he has to be on standby in the office even when he's not on a mission. Director Yang said. Quickly make a call and get him to come over. Alright, I'll go now. And Jing prayed for little Chin in her heart before making the call. And Jing felt that in the future, the National Security Agency's 9th Bureau might become different. This little Chen is young and doesn't do proper work, Director Yang criticized. Everyone should learn from little Li. He has such achievements at such a young age. But, Director Yang, I might not be able to come to work usually. It's fine. You're a special service member. Just appear if there's a need. Director Yang waved his hand and gave Li Fan special privileges. However, our bureau is relatively idle. There's usually no work. If there's really something, just get little Chen to do it. Li Fan was a little speechless. Director Yang was too indulgent of him. It was unknown how General Ran had explained it to him. By the way, little Li, I heard that you haven't bought a car. Do you want me to help you apply for a public car? Director Yang asked again. The cars in the bureau are all A4, but we still have an A6. If you want to drive it, you can drive it. And Jing mumbled inwardly. Isn't this A6 the director's car? As a field agent who has to go on missions, little Chen is only given a Great Wall H6. Isn't the difference a little too great? Chapter 1462. Around noon, Xiaochen finally came to work. This kid was dressed in cowboy clothes and was 1.8 meters tall. He had a crew cut and looked very capable. He barged into the office, muttering to himself. Director Yang, what's wrong today? Why did you suddenly call me here? I'm on a blind date. This young lady is not bad. Nonsense. What blind date during work hours? Director Yang glared at him. Director Yang, we have to solve our personal problems too. Furthermore. As Xiaochen was mumbling, his gaze suddenly landed on Li Fan. Who is this? Be polite. Director Yang's warning to Xiaochen stunned Xiaochen. Director Yang had always been good-tempered. What's wrong with him today? Did he take the wrong medicine? Hurry up and sit down. Work hard. Xiaochen was a little speechless. Where did this job come from? Hello, Brother Chin. My name is Li Fan. I'm a new special agent. Special agent? Li Fan. Xiao Chen sized up Li Fan. Why do you look so familiar? Lad, where did you work in the past? What nonsense are you spouting? You're full of nonsense. Before Li Fan could say a word, the good-tempered Director Yang began reprimanding him again. You are a government employee. Those who don't know might think you're some hooligan. Director Yang, you're right. And Jing also spoke up, making Xiao Chen even more depressed. What's wrong with everyone today? Did everyone take the wrong medicine? Bro, why did you come here to work as a special agent? We have nothing to do today. Xiao Chen sat down and began chatting with Li Fan again. Nonsense. Our work here is also very important. No department in the government exists in name only. Once there's a superpower crime, we have to take action immediately. Do you understand? My Director Yang, what's wrong with you today? It's like you're a different person. Different person? I think you're a different person. Ignoring the fact that you're late during work hours, you're not even wearing your uniform. What do you think this place is? Do you still look like a government employee? Director Yang, you can't just criticize me. Isn't he also not wearing his uniform? Xiao Chen pointed at Li Fan. Nonsense, he's a new comrade. The uniform hasn't been issued yet. Director Yang continued, furthermore, he's a special agent. He only needs to wear his uniform for missions, understand? You're biased, what are you saying? Director Yang was like a cat that had its tail stepped on. He subconsciously glanced at Li Fan, slowed down, and continued. But you remember, you're a little old. But you have to remember, you're an important government official, so you have to be prudent, understand? Xiao Chen, you're right. No. Even with Xiao Chen's temper, Yang, Director Chen was. Chief Yang was satisfied. His attitude today was indeed biased towards Li Fan, and he also wanted to remind Li Fan who was the real leader here. The 9th Division of the State Security was a government department. The higher-ups handed Li Fan over to him, hoping to supervise and discipline him. Xiao Chen, you and Xiao Li will cooperate well in the future. Do a good job on every case, understand? Director Yang, how can there be a case? Just as Xiao Chen finished his sentence, and Jing suddenly picked up a call. Get ready. There's a mission. Ha! Xiao Chen and Director Yang were both shocked. What the heck? Just like that. There hadn't been any news for years. Why was there a mission today? Li Fan knew that there had probably been missions in the past, but General Ran and the rest never handed them over to the 9th Division of the State Security. They probably did not value the 9th Division of the State Security. It was originally used to deal with high-ability criminals, but now, it had become a low-level government office. Holy shit, did the sun rise from the west today? Xiao Chen was a little confused. He rubbed his head, unable to figure out what was going on. Alright, let's talk about the mission. Director Yang rubbed his forehead, looking a little worried. Director Yang, don't worry. Although we haven't been on duty before, Xiao Chen is a former soldier of the Red Umbrella Corps. With the help of the Three Kingdoms system, we will definitely be able to complete the mission. Three Kingdoms system. What's that? Li Fan was a little curious when he heard that. You'll know soon. Let's go to the armed forces now. Director Yang waved his hand and led a few people from the 9th Division of the State Security to the armed forces. You're so far from the armed forces. If there's an emergency, you won't be able to make it in time, right? Li Fan sat in the Iveco and calculated the time. It would take at least half an hour to get to the armed forces, even by car. It would be even more late if there was a traffic jam. Since it's a field operation, there must be someone from the Public Security Bureau holding the fort. Xiao Chen checked his pistol. As a field agent, he had to carry a gun with him. Li Fan took a look. It was an ordinary Type 92. The body of the gun glowed with black oil. It seemed to be a little old, but it was well maintained. We're considered special police who deal with people with special abilities, right? Are we going to use this gun? Li Fan was puzzled. Of course we can't rely on this. Xiao Chen chuckled. We have the Three Kingdoms system, but we've never used it. Now I'm curious, let's talk about the case first. Director Yang was more concerned about the case. And Jing nodded and began to explain the case to everyone. The perpetrator is a mutant, and Jing said. Recently, there have been fewer and fewer mutants. Especially during the mopping up plan some time ago, almost all the mutants in China have disappeared. This mutant seems to have just awakened. He's currently using his power to rob a gold shop. The police have surrounded the place and are confronting this person. These things were handled by the Special Abilities Bureau in the past. Director Yang seemed to be afraid of trouble. It was a completely different person from the righteous look he had when he taught Xiao Chen a lesson. By the way, where's the Imperial military? Why aren't they on duty? The Imperial military is only responsible for the affairs of the underworld and the martial arts world. Other criminal cases are not within their scope of authority. And Jing explained. Okay. Xiao Chen, you two have to work hard and cooperate with the police. Shouldn't the police be cooperating with us? Li Fan asked. Ahem, it's our first operation. It's inevitable that we'll be unfamiliar. We still have to learn from our experienced comrades. Director Yang coughed twice, but Xiao Chen curled his lips. Don't worry. It's our first time on duty. We'll definitely do a good job. Chapter 1463. While the car was on the road, Li Fan was still mumbling inwardly. The first three mutants had been radiated by the nine-tailed divine fox's divine sense. The local residents were very powerful and had rather long lives. After these three people's powers returned, they spread it out, causing many people's mental powers to mutate and become rare mutants. However, these three people should be dead. The other mutants in China had been brought to Li Island by him and had used special methods to isolate their mental radiation. Therefore, even if Bai Lin Luo returned, it shouldn't have affected the local area. But where did these mutants come from? Whose psychic wave had affected them? We've arrived at the armed forces. The car stopped and Little Chen and company alighted. Li Fan followed behind and entered the armed forces. The 9th Division of the National Security Bureau was located there. If one wanted to obtain any equipment, they had to come here to equip themselves. The procedures had been completed, and no one stopped them from entering the armory. Li Fan couldn't help but sigh when he saw the layers of checks. With this efficiency, it would be too late if anything serious happened. Since he was in the 9th Division of the National Security Bureau, he had to improve the situation. Up ahead is our Three Kingdoms system. And Jing pointed at a facility in front of them and said to Li Fan, this was invented by a genius back then. It can be used to enhance a person's combat strength. However, the maintenance cost of this equipment is very high. Although every city is equipped with a set, almost none of them have been used. The maintenance cost is high. Then there's no need for it. Li Fan couldn't help but sneer. Are the people paying too little in taxes? These things are used to protect the people, but now you're worried about the high maintenance cost. Ha ha. And Jing was somewhat surprised. This was a second-generation official with awareness. I reckon that our department will soon be evacuated, much less these pieces of equipment. Xiao Chen kicked the steel covered in dust. It's precisely because it's the people's tax money that the country can't waste it for nothing. However, Director Yang said, "Little Lee, you have good awareness, but you're still young. However, it's time for us to show the value of this equipment. Whether it's worth maintaining or not, it's up to us to decide. Hey, little Zheng, right? Clean up and get the Three Kingdoms system up and running." "All right." A few logistics personnel in charge of cleaning immediately busied themselves. Soon, the place was covered in dust, choking in Jing and company. Li Fan was depressed. Fuck, has this place not been cleaned for hundreds of years? The ash could even drown a person. Moreover, wasting time in this kind of place was really not something he should do. Open all the windows. People are dying here. Director Yang said as he coughed. And Jing hurriedly ran over to open the window, but she tripped over a log and fell to the ground. Li Fan was also convinced. This girl was really muddle-headed. As he went over to help Jing up, she kept touching the ground. "Where are my glasses?" "Here." Li Fan probed with his inner strength and sucked over the glasses that had fallen to the side before stuffing them back into Jing's hand. Little Chen went over and opened the window. Only then did the armory have some fresh air. As for the piece of steel, it finally revealed its true form. Li Fan helped Jing up and looked at the steel again. He couldn't help but be surprised. Man, it's actually an exoskeleton? The steel was part of the armor, but the armor formed a complete exoskeleton that could be worn on a person's body. A few years ago, the United States was also researching exoskeleton equipment. In the beginning, exoskeletons were used in medical facilities to help disabled patients gain a new life. However, later on, the military attempted to use exoskeletons in individual combat, greatly increasing the combat strength of individual soldiers. This continued until they developed nano-armor, genetic chips, and later, the Zeus system. Exoskeletons were considered obsolete. However, in China, this exoskeleton was actually sleeping. Although the equipment was a little outdated, it was considered a good combat strength if used properly. This armor's name is Zhang Fei. Little Chen looked at the black armor in a somewhat infatuated manner. Wearing this armor is like wearing Zhang Fei. I've always wanted to try its power, but unfortunately, I didn't have the chance. Little Chen, you're in the field, so you can assist the special services. Director Yang hurriedly reminded him, let Little Li use this armor this time. Oh. Little Chen was clearly a little disappointed. Li Fan immediately said, there's no need, Director Yang. There's no need, Chief Yang. I'm new here and I still need to learn. Brother Chen, it's better if you wear this armor. Let me see its combat strength. China had already begun using the dragon chip. It was indeed rare to see someone using an exoskeleton. However, Li Fan had a nagging feeling that this armor might have its own unique combat strength. Three Kingdoms system, in that case, there are other armors with other names in other cities. Li Fan asked. Of course, the strongest is Lu Bu's armor. However, it's in the imperial capital. I really want to see it. Little Chen was a little excited. Director Yang, this is my opinion. What do you think? No matter what, this was their territory. Li Fan couldn't turn from guest to host. Alright, then let Little Chen do it. After all, the two of you are doing the work. I'm only in charge of commanding. Director Yang thought to himself, as long as Li Fan doesn't nitpick, it's fine. Time is of the essence. Quickly try out the functions of this armor. And Jing urged. The criminal was still in a standoff with the police. All right. Little Chen was also a little excited. He walked to the platform and opened his arms. A panel was pulled in front of him, and some of Little Chen's stats popped up. Stamina, B, Speed, C, Strength, B, Comprehensive Combat Ability, B-. Basic stats meet the requirements. Able to use Shang Fei's armor. Ha, I knew I could do it. Little Chen was overjoyed. After all, he was from the Umbrella Corps. Using this armor was more than enough. Pieces of black armor were draped over Little Chen's body. In a short while, Little Chen turned into a mighty god of war. He stretched out his hand, and an enlarged version of the snake spear was handed over by a robotic hand. This snake spear was completely made of alloy and was more than 3 meters long. Little Chen grabbed it and swung it. The sound of air being pierced rang out. This alloy snake spear seemed to be quite powerful. Ha! Little Chen felt his strength and was very happy. Now, I'm finally like a field agent of the 9th Bureau of the National Security. And Jing, where's the criminal? Let's hurry over. Standing by the side, Li Fan couldn't help but nod. The power unleashed by this armor was at least the strength of an expert who had reached the next level. Let's go. It's time to punish the criminal. Director Yang was also in high spirits. Their 9th Bureau of the National Security could fight against Xiongfeng. Everyone. I have something, and Jing timidly raised her right hand with a screw between her fingers. Is this from the armor? Chapter 1464. Zhou Dafu was just an ordinary delivery man. He had dropped out of school in his early years and was uneducated. Later, he followed a friend to join the underworld and help people collect debts from loan sharks. In the end, because he injured the person, he had no choice but to go to jail for 2 years. When he was released, he was recommended by an old friend to work at a KTV. A few days later, he got drunk and offended the boss, who broke his leg. Zhou Dafu was almost 40 years old. In society, people like him were called old hooligans. As an old hooligan, Zhou Dafu lived a very sullen life. He was basically half dead. Therefore, Zhou Dafu started to be laid off and found a job again. He decided to make a living by scamming people. But now that the economy was tight, it was not easy to do so. Often, he would not earn a single cent for a few days. The days became more and more difficult. In the end, he thought of death. For this, Zhou Dafu really put his intelligence to use and researched many ways to die. He wanted to see which way was more comfortable and less painful. Although Zhou Dafu was a hooligan, his biggest weakness was that he was afraid of pain. In the end, he felt that all the ways to die were painful. Finally, he gave up and decided to work hard to make his career as a scammer. In the end, just as Zhou Dafu was about to have a second spring in his life, a car might not have been able to control its speed, or the driver might have had too much to drink, but it interrupted Zhou Dafu's work and killed him. Zhou Dafu experienced death briefly. When he woke up in the morgue, he realized that he had extraordinary power. This was an opportunity given to him by God. He was born to be an extraordinary person. At first, Zhou Dafu only used this power to bully others. Eventually, he became more and more arrogant, until he broke into the gold shop and wanted to rob the jewelry. Zhou Dafu used all his intelligence. He felt that it was not easy to rob a bank. First, the money was in the vault. Second, normal banks did not have much money. But the gold shop was different. The gold was all out in the open. He could have as much as he wanted. In this day and age, money was not reliable. It depreciated every day. Hard currency was the most reliable. Zhou Dafu chose the most pleasing Zhou Dafu and relied on his ability to rob a lot of gold and silver. However, the police did arrive quickly. In less than 5 minutes, the police cars had surrounded the place. The front door and the fire escape were all blocked by the police. Zhou Dafu had no way to escape, so he could only take the hostage and confront the police. 2 special police officers sneaked into the gold shop and prepared to launch a surprise attack. However, Zhou Dafu relied on his copper skin and iron bones. He was not afraid of the police's bullets at all. Instead, he subdued the 2 special police officers. "Prepare a helicopter for me immediately," Zhou Dafu shouted, "or I'll kill everyone here." The director of the local public security bureau stood behind the police car in anger. "Where are the people from the 9th Bureau? Why aren't they here yet?" As he looked at the fallen policeman, he became more and more furious. With such a big thing happening, it was hard to say whether he would be able to keep his police uniform. Just these colleagues alone were all comrades who had fought alongside him until now. They never frowned when they hunted criminals, but now they were dealing with a terrifying monster. "They're already on their way. I think they were delayed when they went to the armory," his subordinates reported hurriedly. "Hurry. Tell them to hurry. This is a matter of life and death. Where are they going to give birth?" "Yes, yes." His subordinate quickly rushed them. At that moment, Jing also received a call. She happened to be on the truck that was rushing over. Little Chen, who was wearing the Zhangfei armor, was in the back of the truck. The 2 logisticians were still beside him, making the final adjustments to the armor. "We're almost there. Are you confident?" Li Fan stood at the side and looked at the excited little Chen. He could not help but ask. "Of course I'm confident. I've been wanting to do something for a long time." Little Chen exercised his mech. Although he did not know where a screw had fallen from, he still had full confidence in this Zhangfei mech. "I'm going to use this armor to enforce justice and punish those bad guys." "Okay, then do your best. I'll support you." Li Fan also wanted to see how much power the 9th Bureau of the State Security and the 3 Kingdoms system had, and whether they could be used by the people. "We're almost there. Prepare to release Zhangfei." And Jing's voice sounded in their earphones. Li Fan nodded and pushed open the truck's hatch. "It's my turn to perform." Little Chen was like a monkey that had returned to the mountain as he happily rushed out. A pulley popped out from his feet, allowing Little Chen to slide freely and quickly on the ground. The group of policemen were somewhat surprised when they saw such a thing appear. "What's this? A mecha? Can we fight that monster with this thing?" the policemen discussed. Little Chen wore the Zhangfei armor and held the alloy snake spear in his hand as he slowly walked towards the jewelry store. "Director Yang. You came personally." The branch bureau chief was a little surprised to see Director Yang here. Your hair." He pointed at Director Yang's hair and was even more surprised. "Ahem, Chief Sheng, this is a set of armor system developed by China. I guarantee that it can subdue the bad guys." "Alright, then I'll be relying on you guys." Chief Sheng wiped his cold sweat. "This bastard's name is Zhou Dafu. He used to be a hooligan, a professional racketeer. I don't know what happened to him, but he has become an invulnerable Iron Man. Leave it to us." Director Yang instructed Little Chen. "Little Chen, it's all up to you. I guarantee that I will complete the mission." Little Chen stood in front of the jewelry store and asked Jing, "Can you monitor the target's location?" "Yes." According to the thermal response, he should be behind the wall a meter to the left. Jing told Little Chen according to the display on the monitor. Just as Little Chen moved a little, Jing suddenly shouted again. "Ah, no. I was wrong. It's the right. The right." Fuck your sister. Little Chen was infuriated. At such an important moment, this lass was still making a mistake. Don't be anxious. Follow Jing's instructions. Li Fan sat cross-legged in the police car beside him. He was rather calm. It was said that Zhou Dafu's ability was to have copper skin and iron bones. He was invulnerable, but it was impossible for him to be invincible. It was a good chance to test the combat strength of this armor. All right. Little Chen also knew that it wasn't the time to flare up. He moved a distance to the right. The policemen beside him were also wiping their cold sweat. Can this work? Fuck. Bang. Little Chen's arm pierced through the 20-centimeter thick wall and grabbed the target's head. Chapter 1465. Little Chen relied on Zhang Fei's gauntlet and penetrated the 20-centimeter thick wall. He grabbed Zhou Dafu's head, pulled him out, and threw him at his feet. When the crowd saw Zhou Dafu, they were shocked. Zhou Dafu was like a man of mercury at this time. His skin had turned into some kind of silver alloy. He was thrown to the ground, and his mouth was still shouting. Fuck, who knocked me down? I'm injured. Pay up. Zhou Dafu, you're still trying to scam in this state. Little Chen was delighted when he saw this. Zhou Dafu thought about it. Yes, I'm already amazing now. Why am I still doing this? It seems that professional habits are formed, and it's hard to change. He immediately rolled on the ground and stood up. Chief Sheng saw that Zhou Dafu had no hostages at this time and decisively gave the order. Fire! Little Chen had retreated immediately. Although it was a set of armor, it was not a full duplex to avoid being accidentally injured by stray bullets. At this time, Zhou Dafu was surrounded by a hail of bullets. These policemen had injured their comrades and colleagues. Each of them was full of anger, and they were venting it at this time as they desperately pulled the trigger. There were more than 30 policemen at the scene. The bullets were fired as if they were free, hitting Zhou Dafu's body. However, Zhou Dafu's arcana was indeed powerful. Under such a hail of bullets, he still stood there, maintaining a smile, like a spring breeze. The bullets hit him, but they could only splatter golden sparks, and then bounce to the side. Even the nearest police car was not spared, and the ricocheted bullets turned it into a sieve. Ha ha ha. I'm invincible now. You idiots. Zhou Dafu was very excited. He felt that God had given him this opportunity. It allowed him to become stronger, get rich, and then live the rest of his life freely. Even bullets could not kill him. What was there to be afraid of? What was the police? What was the army? Bullshit. Damn, this guy is a monster. Can't we catch him? The policemen were a little disheartened, but Little Chen was still excited. Kid, consider yourself unlucky today to be in my hands. Lie down. Little Chen had already rushed in front of Zhou Dafu, and the alloy snake spear in his hand was swung at Zhou Dafu. Dang! Zhou Dafu's body was sent flying, but the alloy snake spear couldn't break through his defense. Zhou Dafu's lower abdomen was propped up by the snake spear, and he struggled a few times in the air. Too hard. Xiaochen frowned, but he did not give up. Instead, he shook the snake spear and sent Zhou Dafu's body flying into the air. Then, he made Zhou Dafu fall freely and fall back to the ground with his limbs spread out. I don't believe that even Zhang Fei can't subdue you. Little Chen was a little excited. He raised his alloy snake spear high and slashed down with all his might. Bang! Zhou Dafu's body was sent flying and crashed into a police car, flattening it. Zhou Dafu seemed to be in pain from the fall. He cried out a few times, but it was not a big deal. Hard. Little Chen roared and jumped high into the air. Under the effect of this set of battle armor, his body's functions had also been strengthened many times. He directly stabbed at Zhou Dafu with his snake lance. Bang! Zhou Dafu's lower abdomen was stabbed again. He was pushed up along with the scrapped car behind him and slid to the ground, producing blinding sparks. However, the alloy snake spear still couldn't penetrate Zhou Dafu's body. Impossible. Little Chen was somewhat displeased. He couldn't even penetrate his opponent's defense. Don't lose heart. Li Fan's voice sounded. Little Chen turned his head and saw Li Fan standing on the electric pole beside him at some point in time. He was looking at him with his arms crossed. His weakness is at his throat. Go on. How did you know? Little Chen was a little surprised. He felt that Li Fan's eyes seemed to emit a certain glint, as though he could see through him. I guessed it. Go ahead and give it a try. Li Fan smiled and didn't explain. Little Li, don't make a random judgment. If you're wrong, it might cause unnecessary casualties. And Jing reminded him through the earpiece. I'm doing a thermal analysis. Who knows, I might be able to obtain some important information. Don't worry. Given the situation, there's no problem giving it a try. I'll be more conservative. Li Fan and Jing had conflicting opinions, but Zhou Dafu laughed out loud. What police? What justice? It's all bullshit. I'm already invincible. All of these riches are mine, no one can stop me. I, Zhou Dafu, will no longer be a nobody. I will be an earth-shattering emperor. Emperor, my ass. Little Chen couldn't help but curse. The snake spear in his hand pierced through Zhou Dafu's throat. His body was tough, but his throat was like a mortal's. It was instantly penetrated. Before Zhou Dafu's beautiful dream of a future could be realized, he had already lost his life here. Ha, I knew it. Zhang Fei's armor is very powerful. Little Chen was especially happy. This time, he had finally proven the armor's power. And Jing was a little surprised as she hurriedly asked. Li Fan, how did you tell that his throat was his weakness? That's right, that's right. Quickly teach me. This move is impressive. Little Li, quickly tell us about your experience. The trio from the 9th Bureau of the National Security asked. It was really a guess. Humans always have weaknesses. He only obtained an ability, not a god. Li Fan laughed. Besides, the throat is everyone's weakness. I don't think he was spared. Then you're quite smart. And Jing couldn't help but praise Li Fan. In the future, we have to learn from Little Li and use our brains more. Director Yang also kept praising Li Fan. Instead, no one mentioned Little Chen, who had contributed the most. However, Little Chen didn't care about this. He was still immersed in the excitement of the mecha's power. Your power is used to punish bad people. Don't follow Zhou Dafu's path. Li Fan's voice suddenly sounded in Little Chen's ear, giving him a shock. He turned his head and saw Li Fan standing far away, talking to Jing and company. Did I hear wrongly? And at that moment, although Li Fan was talking to Jing, he secretly glanced at the distant rooftop. There seemed to be someone before that, and it was a very powerful person. Who could it be? Could it be an expert from the Martial God Hall that could make him feel threatened? Li Fan couldn't explain it. He only felt that it wasn't simple for something like Zhou Dafu to happen. There had to be something behind this. Although it was only a guess, Li Fan sometimes believed in his intuition. Let the police deal with the aftermath. Let's go back and have a summary meeting. Director Yang was beaming with joy, as though he had grown a new head of hair. Chapter 1466. The summary meeting was rather boring. Li Fan felt drowsy listening to it. He lasted until he got off work and finally left the 9th Bureau of the State Security as though he was escaping. Working in such a boring organization was really not suitable for him. Li Fan was about to head to the Seven Knights Villa when he bumped into Jing, who was also preparing to go home. After this last got off work, she changed into casual clothes. She wore a light yellow woolen sweater on her upper body and a long wine-red skirt on her lower body. It made her originally refined aura seem even more gentle and quiet. "What are you doing? Why aren't you going home?" Li Fan asked. What's wrong?" "I forgot my wallet when I went out," and Jing lowered her head and said with a blush, "I can't even buy a bus ticket back." "Aw, I'll lend it to you." Li Fan reached into his pocket for the money and suddenly felt embarrassed. He suddenly remembered that when he went out, Chun, and the rest would pay for him. He had gotten used to corruption, causing him to not bring money when he went out. "What's wrong? Don't you have any money with you?" And Jing blinked her eyes and suddenly covered her mouth to chuckle. "So you are also so muddle-headed." "I'm not lonely." Li Fan was unable to defend himself. "Then where do you live? Let me send you off." "All right, I don't live too far. It's only 3 to 5 kilometers." There was still some time before the sky turned dark. Li Fan was not in a hurry. He could send his colleague off on the way. It could also be considered as enhancing the friendship between colleagues. "Speaking of which, you work for the government and are considered a civil servant. Why don't you even have a car?" Li Fan asked as he walked. "I don't need a reputation project." "Do you think being a civil servant is very lucrative?" "My monthly salary is only 3,000 yuan, and I don't have the qualifications to get a car." "Do you think everyone is like you, getting an A for the moment they arrive?" "This A4 level is enough for a municipal party secretary. For someone like me, I can only afford an electric car. If I were to buy a car, even if I can afford it, I can't afford to keep it. Gas money, parking fees, these are all expenses. If that's the case, I might as well take the bus. It's environmentally friendly and saves money." So, the 9th Bureau of the State Security is quite high-ranking. "Hey, what are you talking about?" And Jing waved her hand. "That A4 and A6 are old cars. They were seized a few years ago. The car is so old that no one else drives it, so they just left it here. So that's how it is. I feel that our department is indeed quite desolate. Isn't that so? It really is a clean yamen. I actually think it's good that something happened today. If not, the 9th Bureau of the State Security should be disbanded." "You can't say that. Some departments are just there to prevent things from happening." Li Fan didn't think so. He expressed his opinion. "Just like the police, if no one commits a crime for a while, will the police withdraw? Is that even possible?" "You're right. But I still fought for my dignity today." And Jing was still very happy. "I never expected us to be in the limelight today. Our glory is accompanied by the danger of the common people." However, Li Fan wasn't optimistic. "I hope such things don't happen often. I never expected a second-generation official like you to be so concerned about the country and the people." And Jing looked at Li Fan in surprise. How did I become a second-generation official again?" Li Fan couldn't help but laugh out loud. If he were a second-generation official, he probably wouldn't have ended up like this today, right? So what if you're a second-generation official? There are good people too. Look at you, aren't you not bad? Alright, whatever you say. Li Fan didn't explain further. It was good to keep it a little mysterious. And Jing, you guys have to investigate more about Zhou Dafu. I don't think it's that simple. Li Fan suggested. How can it be so sensitive? It should be an unexpected incident. And Jing didn't think too much about it. You're a little muddle-headed. This kind of thing is definitely not a coincidence. Li Fan said, the mutants in China have long left. Even if there are any left, they should have been wiped out by the sweeping plan. Although it's a little cruel to say this, the execution of this plan is thorough enough. It's even more thorough than the martial arts ban. The martial arts ban only made the martial artists lose their combat ability. As for the mopping up plan, they secretly executed all the mutants. In other words, there shouldn't be any more mutants appearing in China. The system to check the mutants was still in place, and Bai Lin Luo could only come back with special approval. For China, the mutants were like a virus. They must not be allowed to spread mutants in China. Otherwise, the consequences would be like what happened today. Some people could control their arcana, but they might not be able to control their desires. In the past, the Special Abilities Bureau was in charge of these matters. Now that the Special Abilities Bureau was gone, the Imperial Guards were only in charge of the pugilistic world and the underworld. The rest was left to the 9th Bureau of the State Security. You're just too sensitive. And Jing put her hands behind her back and took a few steps under the tree. Then, she turned around and smiled at Li Fan. People should live a more relaxed life. How can we always have such conspiracy theories? Isn't that too tiring? What you said makes sense, but have you heard of another saying? Li Fan asked leisurely as he looked at Jing. What is it? I want to hear what you have to say about it. As the saying goes, do your job according to your position. If you and I were ordinary people, we wouldn't be muddle-headed and would just live happily. But we are the 9th Bureau of the State Security. Don't forget what our duty is. If we just muddle along, ordinary people will have a hard time. You're full of principles. And Jing laughed. The gentle young lady's laughter warmed Li Fan's heart a little. I won't hold you back. After all, I'm also a member of the 9th Bureau of the State Security. Don't underestimate me. I'm very powerful. And Jing said as she took a step back. In the end, she accidentally tripped and nearly fell to the ground. Fortunately, Li Fan took a step forward and helped her up. And Jing's face was red as if she was extremely shy. Silly girl, is this how you don't hold us back? Li Fan looked at Jing with a smile, causing her face to turn even redder. That's. Humans lose their footing, that's because horses lose their footing, and humans lose their footing. Go away, you're the one who's lost your footing. Li Fan was at a loss whether to laugh or cry. And Jing was ultimately a petite woman. Let go of me, and Jing gently pinched Li Fan. Then don't fall again. Am I that stupid? Not exactly stupid. You're just a little muddle-headed. You're the muddle-headed one. Humph. I don't want you to send me off. And Jing pushed Li Fan away and walked forward in a fit of pique. However, her high heels fell into a ditch. Chapter 1467. Li Fan had to hand it to her. He didn't know if this woman was muddle-headed or unlucky, but she was just too tragic. And Jing's face turned red as she tried her best to pull out her shoe. But the harder she tried, the more she couldn't pull the heel out. Li Fan stood by the side, leaning against a tree with his arms crossed. He didn't help as he looked at her with a smile. You bastard. Aren't you being too ungentlemanly, and Jing grumbled at Li Fan. You're not even helping, Ma Am and Jing, I'm just curious. Can't you just take off your shoes? After Li Fan asked, and Jing suddenly came to a realization. She first took off her shoes and placed one foot on top of the other. Then, she squatted down in an attempt to pull out the high heel. However, the heels seemed to be stuck in a rather weird position. She tried a few times, but she couldn't pull it out. Do you need help? Li Fan asked with a grin. Is there a need to ask? And Jing seemed infuriated. All right. I'll be right there. Li Fan bent down and nearly touched Jing's leg, making her blush even more. Would this Li Fan take the opportunity to take advantage of her? However, Li Fan was rather well behaved. He reached out and pulled out the high heel from the trench. When Li Fan returned the shoe to Jing, she said angrily, "You boys just like to bully boys because of your strength. Hey, what you said isn't right. How did I bully you?" Li Fan was at a loss whether to laugh or cry. Yes, you did. And Jing was a typical young lady. She looked angrily at Li Fan as though she was really angry. All right. I'll bully you then, all right? That's it. Aren't you going to apologize to me? Yes, Missy and Jing. It's my fault. I hope you won't hold it against me. Li Fan bowed to Jing thrice. Screw you. Are you worshipping a dead person? And Jing rolled her eyes in anger. I don't care. You have to treat me to a meal. How can I treat you to a meal without money? Li Fan broke out in a cold sweat. Hey, I forgot about that. Forget it, I'll treat you. Aren't you broke too? Idiot, you have a phone. And Jing waved her cell phone. I can pay for everything with my cell phone now. Then why don't you use your phone to book the ticket? It hasn't become popular yet. And Jing said, in some big cities, cell phones can already be used as public transport cards. What era are we in? Technology is productivity. Yeah, that set of Zhang Fei's armor is very powerful. Li Fan thought of Zhang Fei's armor. Its combat prowess was pretty good. It should be able to deal with ordinary experts. However, if he encountered a second-rate expert, he would barely be able to put up a fight. If he encountered a first-rate expert, he would be finished. Not to mention the more powerful top experts, martial saints. My house is right in front. And Jing stopped in front of an apartment building and looked at Li Fan. Do you want to come up for coffee? Then forget it, Missy and Jing. Li Fan said righteously. Any friendship that transcends the office begins with a cup of coffee upstairs. Screw you. You're still dreaming. And Jing glared at Li Fan. You're the same as that little chin. You're both shameless. Heh, why did you give me such an evaluation? TCH, men are all the same. In your hearts, is there no pure friendship between men and women? And Jing threw out a huge question. There should be, right? Li Fan chuckled. Why don't we go upstairs and give it a try? Give it a try, my ass. See you tomorrow. And Jing waved goodbye to Li Fan. She did not want to invite a wolf into her house. All right, I'll try to see you tomorrow. Li Fan was a special agent. He did not have a fixed time for work to begin with. Furthermore, he would be busy with the relocation of the Seven Knights Villa over the next few days. He probably would not have the time to come over. However, the matter regarding the mutants still had to be investigated. The reputation of mutants was already bad to begin with. If a few more incidents were to happen, it would probably worsen. The day he agreed on with Jiang Feng was approaching. He also had to make preparations to head to the martial god shrine to rescue Liao Wuxuang. Then I'll head back first. Bye. Li Fan was about to stroll back when he suddenly stopped and looked behind him. Behind him were the residents of the neighborhood. Some were taking a stroll, some were dancing, and some were rushing home from work. There was nothing out of the ordinary. Li Fan felt that he might have been a little too sensitive. He turned back and continued on his way. This young man is quite capable. A man in a long blue shirt stood on the rooftop of an apartment building. He looked down at Li Fan's back and could not help but comment. He's just a mortal. If his strength exceeds the rules, we'll just kill him. Beside him was a woman in red. She was as beautiful as a flower, but her face was murderous. She carried a sword on her back and did not even look at Li Fan. She only said coldly, "We can't kill indiscriminately. We also have rules." The man in blue was as gentle as jade. "The mission from above is to monitor. We can't make a move. What's there to monitor? He's just a mortal. How can he jump out of the sky? Even if he cultivates the true immortal art, what's there to be afraid of? It would be great if he cultivates the true immortal art." The man in blue had a smile on his face. "This is something we specially sent down to trick them. I'm actually afraid that he won't cultivate it. Mortals are greedy beyond measure. With such a godly art, how could he not cultivate it? Alright, let's not talk about them. Remember, the responsibility of the heavens beyond heaven is to monitor. Don't overstep your boundaries." "Alright, then I won't say anything. After all, he's just a mortal. He can't do anything." The two of them flashed and disappeared from the rooftop. As for Li Fan, he did not know that he was being watched. He returned to the Seven Knights Villa and packed his things. He prepared to go to the nearest White Tiger Pagoda with Dragon Girl. "Aren't we going to fight? Why did you prepare so many snacks?" Li Fan looked at Dragon Girl's big and small bags and could not help but widen his eyes. "The one who's going to fight is you. I'm just in charge of leading the way. Just treat it as a field trip." Li Fan was quite speechless. This Dragon Girl was too heartless. "What, I only have this little hobby. Are you going to deprive me of it?" Dragon Girl looked at Li Fan with dissatisfaction. When a little girl was unruly, she was quite powerful. "I'm not depriving you of it." "Then bring it along. It must be fun to watch a movie in the front row, right? Of course, it's a 3D movie. Look, I've prepared a lot of popcorn." Dragon Girl was still introducing her snacks one after another. Li Fan was so angry that he could choke. This girl was too presumptuous. "Forget it. Follow me. Do you know the way? It's better to follow me." "Yes, yes, yes. You're my guiding light. Let's go." You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.